sort of remarks in the Oval Office. We don't know what it's going to be about. I've heard that it might be about Social Security, but I am not sure what exactly they're going to be talking about. So this should be very interesting how he scheduled it. So while we're waiting, I've got some, while we're waiting, I've got some content to actually begin talking about. And starting with the media. The media at this point seems completely broken. There are some people in the media who are understanding, yeah, this is what we need to be doing. And there's other people in the media who are like, no, we don't need it. What I'm seeing here, and this is becoming quite problematic for the media, what I'm seeing is some of the white anchors and hosts are saying, yeah, there's a problem. And on this side, the race baiters, the grievous merchants, are so entranced, so dead set on dividing this country, they can't get themselves out of it. They think it's a black-white issue. Crime is not black-white. Crime is for everybody. It affects every single human walking the planet. It's not a black-white issue. But for some reason, the people like Al Sharpton and some of the others, they can't get off that bus. Literally speaking. Listen to him.
And I think it would behoove the Democratic Party to figure out how to build a partnership with the president, with the mayor, to make Washington a more secure city for the 91% of Washington residents who are saying today that crime is a serious problem.
Well, it goes to the situation and problem that I've said to you and I discussed before, that people are talking for people they're not talking to. There is a...
What the hell did that even mean? He spent 10 or 15 seconds and he said nothing. The problem is that people are talking for people instead of talking to them. I don't care. I'm sorry, Reverend Al. The point of talking to these people is over. You have spent, your life, the race baiter in chief right now, who has done everything from New York to Washington and led protests all over the place and has never worked. The black community is still, for lack of a better word, an asshole. It is an absolute cesspool. And the same trope is not going to work. I don't know why at this point they can't see it. Every single person who has a driver's license or doesn't and goes through a black community, an inner city community, always looks at this and goes, damn, something's wrong here. Something is really wrong here. And it's been that way forever. And people like him think, oh, that's okay. But he doesn't live there. Maxine Waters doesn't live there. None of them live there.
Concern among many blacks, if not most, and many residents in Washington, D.C. about crime. We have an office of National Action Network there, so I'm familiar with it. I go in and out. I talk to the people that work for NAN there, led by a woman, a black woman. But the question becomes how Trump is handling it. I think the problem is not that there's an argument about we need to deal with crime. Even though the data says it's going down, the perception and the reality is there.
I had to stop it for you there. You hear that? Although the data says this, the perception and the reality says something else. So you just admitted that the data is flawed. The system, data says this, but the reality, we're talking reality. These people are living in reality. They're not living in your fake statistics. What the hell are these people talking about? They're so completely entrenched in race, they can't see or even understand what they're saying. How do they expect us to understand?
The question is, Donald Trump, the only convicted felon to ever sit in the White House, by the way,
oh. Hey, Al, at that point, Joe should have reached over and said, we're talking about Washington, D.C.'s crime problem. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump was convicted of 98 felonies. Doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ability of people in this city to live safely. But Trump's been convicted.
Criminals who assaulted police, who threatened the life of the vice president, and did not reach out and try to meet with the mayor and local law enforcement and say, how do we work together to end crime? He just came in, said, I'm taking over, and then announced I'm going to other cities, all of whom have black mayors.
See? They can't stand it. All of whom who have black mayors. All right, beside the fact that they're, quote, black mayors, what are their qualifications and what is the successes that they have brought to their communities? These people were installed and put there as figureheads of each of these cities that they are mayors. And they've done nothing to help their constituents. Nothing. How do I know that? How can I say that with such superlativeness? Is because they're still assholes. Not the entirety of the city. Baltimore's got some very nice neighborhoods. Not downtown. No, not downtown. Chicago, very nice areas outside of the city. But where the black people are, nope, not good there either. Detroit, yes, there are nice places in Detroit area outside the suburbs. Not in downtown. Why? If there's such good mayors, how come they're helping the areas outside of the inner city instead of addressing the problems in the inner city? And then, including addressing the problems inside the inner city, why aren't they looking at the, as Kamala was supposed to do with the border, the core issues? No one talks about that. Reverend Al, if I got in a discussion with you, I know you would scream and leave. The core issues. What is the problem with the inner city communities? It's very simple to see if you want to open your eyes, because it's been going on for decades. It hasn't changed. But now it's Trump's fault because of January 6th and him being 95 convictions or whatever.
Los Angeles, Oakland, Chicago, New York. I'm going after all these cities, not one Republican city, not one white mayor. So for people to suspect him and his motives and the way he does it is the problem.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is the clocking. The problem is the shooting. The problem is the gang violence. If you could find all of those things wrapped up in a bow in a white community anywhere in America, please let me know. Please let anybody watching know. Please let anybody on your network know. Where are the white cities that you say, oh, he didn't do it to a white city? Well, show me the white city that has, 50 people shot in a weekend. The problem also is you're calling them white and black cities. This is America. And that's the problem that these people don't understand. Anybody should be able to live, anybody in Washington, D.C., anybody should be able to live in downtown Chicago. You have made them black and white cities because white people and black people, we don't feel comfortable. We don't want to be around it. It gets me so fired up because I hear this crap over and over. And you guys may not realize it. I've heard this stuff since I was a kid. And I'm so sick of these being the leaders. This is who they look up to. Instead of people like Clarence Thomas, this is who they look up to. And at this point, SV and I were having a text beforehand, and we were talking about some other craziness that's going on. And these people are never getting out of this. They are stuck forever. They are not going to change. And at some point, yes, Al Sharpton, Trump didn't talk to anybody because it's enough. We've had enough talking. It's time for action. He's president number 47. He was president 45. So 46 presidents never said, let's clean this up. I think that would have been enough of the talking. I think over the last, 250 years, there should have been some talking then. Now it's like, that's it. Now we got to do it. We're done talking. There is no negotiation here.
I think what leadership there should do is what Mayor Bowser has said. They're willing to sit down with the administration and anyone else should and say, let's deal with the problem. But don't become the problem. And don't tell us on one hand, you can sit January 6th and watch people beat up cops while you're sitting in the White House doing nothing, and then come back 5 years later and say, I'm taking over the city.
There are more people killed in Washington, D.C. in a couple days probably than got killed in January 6th. They're never going to give this up because they think it works, and I don't understand how they don't realize it. Somebody must be intelligent. There must be some Democratic strategist who thinks to themselves, hey guys, if we keep running up the middle on 3rd and 1 and they keep stopping us and we can't get in the end zone, maybe we shouldn't just keep running the ball dead up the middle. By the way, tell the Miami Dolphins coach that too. You just can't keep running the same play. Once they figure out what you're going to do, they're going to stack the middle of the line and you're not going to make it. The Democrats and many of the black mayors in the inner city have been saying the same thing for decades, and it doesn't change. And they're ruining entire generations of people because they keep blaming their plight on the white guys. Well, you can't get ahead because white man's oppressing you. White man's doing this. White man's doing... No, you're the oppressor. Instead of saying anything about Trump being arrested or indicted or whatever, or say anything about January 6th, why not come on television and say, we need these young gangbangers to put down their guns and stop doing what they're doing. We need them to understand that this isn't the way of life that they should have. We need them to understand that they should be going to school, learning, and becoming productive members of society. But you don't hear that, even during the whole BLS stuff. I used to sit there and watch some of their rallies. I'm like, you're protesting for what? What do you want? Oh, we want police reform. How about stop doing the stuff that the police have to respond to? Then you won't have to worry about the reforms. Oh, they keep shooting innocent black men. Come on, man. It's tired and lame.
And Rev, as you have spoken so often about communities of color that often will welcome more public safety efforts, but also sometimes have distrust of some of the police.
But let me just say also, it's not lost on anyone that the cities that he is calling out, first of all, have large numbers of black and brown people.
Memo goes out at 3 a.m. They get the facts. Hey, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Trump's going after black and brown people. That's the message every single morning. That's all you got to say. It's not been lost on the fact that, well, it's not lost on the fact on who. We can see what's going on. Why are you trying to gaslight? Not me. You're not gaslighting my people here who are watching this video. You're gaslighting the community. You're causing the community great deals of problems because you keep saying it's based on race. You saw what happened last night. The Subway footlong bandit who hit the cops with his sub. What happened to him? Well, he got arrested. And then what happened to him? They found out today that he worked for of all places, he worked for the Department of Justice. And what happened to him? He got fired. Retribution was fast. You did the act, you got arrested, you got fired, and you got charged with a felony. And he was white. But yet, they're going to keep up with this stuff.
Secondly, the crime rate is going down in all of these cities. Thirdly, they're all headed by black mayors. Now, what does that say?
It says these people are incompetent fools. Jake, one day the media is going to sit there when somebody says something that egregious, something that insane, you will actually call them on it and tell them to their faces, well, what it means is something's wrong in the black communities. You just said it. You just gave us the common denominator. Hey, all these inner cities are run by black mayors. I'm pretty good in math, and that's a common denominator if I ever seen one. You just told us the problem. Anybody with any kind of brain can deduce from what you just said, well, The problem seems to be the black mayors. And then the people that they govern. Not the fact that somebody wants to police the black mayors. The problem is the black mayors have lost control of their cities for decades. That's the common denominator. It's not racist. It's reality. It's 100% reality. These people live in a dream fantasy world and they can't accept reality.
What does that picture paint? So we all know who he is.
Meanwhile,
I walk by this train station every single day on my way to work, and I have not seen it like this. You can see a National Guard Humvee behind me, and we've seen, I don't know, Josh, if you can pan over, there are a couple National Guardsmen who are walking across the street over there. We have Humvees basically at each corner of the train station here on a fairly busy Thursday afternoon. And this is what you can expect here in the coming days.
How's that wrong? Somebody tell me how that is wrong. I haven't seen it like this before. You're not having to run to the train unless you're late. It's a nice day. I'm out here. This is nice. Who's got a problem with this? As this is being shown on CNN, you got people across the country going, it's safe? You can walk around? It's clean? Who's got a problem with this? I mean, look, look around as the guy's doing
Pan
this.
over there, you can see.
Look at it. There's not even a gum wrapper on the ground. There's nothing on the ground. Not even a hot dog wrapper. Not even a straw. There's nothing on the ground. Who is against this? How can you possibly see this and go, I don't want that, man. It's too clean. and damn, there's too many white people walking around.
Another Humvee there. This is what you can expect over the next 30 days and possibly a lot longer after that, Jess, because we know just yesterday President Trump said that they are planning to indefinitely extend their federalization of MPD and really ramp up federal law enforcement resources.
So then the next question that comes to mind is, if this is what it looks like in just under 2 days, what the heck do you think it's going to look like in 30 days? Project it ahead and say to yourself, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty safe. Nothing else happening. The guy says, I've been walking through here my whole life. Never seen it.
Here in the district, it's not just National Guard. We have also seen Homeland Security officers, DEA officers, Park Police. There were vehicles here just a little bit earlier. This is one of the areas of focus that we have heard a lot of concerns about, crime around Union Station, people who are loitering outside. I will tell you, as somebody who walks this route all the time, it does seem like there are fewer people.
I'm here all the time. Seems like there's fewer people and a lot of the migrant, transient and nuts. There's nobody out here. Who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't love to get off of a train in Washington, D.C. and walk out the doors and go, oh, this is nice. What is everybody talking about? It looks safe. I don't see any knuckleheads. Who would be complaining about this? Well, Al Sharpton and the other Congress people, the black people, and the idiots that are protesting. What exactly are you protesting? Oh, I guess they had to rethink safety.
Just sort of hanging around.
I have some updated statistics for you. Overnight, there were 45 criminal arrests made for assault, second and first degree. There were arrests made for the distribution of illegal drugs and narcotics that have now been removed off of the streets. There were 3 illegal firearms that were seized. And in addition to that, there were 29 illegal aliens who were removed off of Washington, D.C. streets last night, many of whom had final orders of removal.
So, in addition to the gangbangers, now they're also finding the newcomers. Y'all got to go here now out as well. Maybe that's what they're pissed off about. Yeah, they don't like the fact that the newcomers just can't go hog wild here anymore. They got to get out too. And then there was bulldozers. Believe it or not, there are bulldozers cleaning up the homeless encampments and just tearing them apart. And I can't show it because the people here get mad. Like it's kind of offensive too. Hurts my feelings seeing a homeless camp destroyed. I even got an email the other day. I told you, somebody was pissed off at me because I seemed flippant about the homeless. And again, I will repeat it, and if it makes people uncomfortable, it's really too bad. They are offering people a chance to go to the shelter. If they don't want to go to the shelter because of some sort of affliction, whether it be under the influence or just completely bat-poop crazy, they're offering to send you to the hospital for free. So you get the shelter, you get the hospital, and if you don't want to go to the hospital or go to the shelter, then you get the other accommodations with the bars. You go to jail. And then you get the fourth opportunity, leave. And somebody said I was being flippant, and I'm like, how can that be flippant? They are offering people all for, and she was upset because she said, you don't really understand. Some of these people have mental issues. Yeah, I understand. They have the option to go to the hospital. What more do you want? If somebody can go to a shelter and be fed and clothed and take a bath and eat, and they can go to the hospital and find out what their drugs are, that they can try to get them out of it, or if they've got some issues upstairs, maybe there's some counselors or some psychiatric help, or jail. I don't know what option number 5 would be. Let them stay? No, that's not an option. And so, as I've said many times on my show here, I don't ever like to hear people complain without having a solution. So if the solution is not the shelter, and if the solution is not the medical help, if the solution is not jail, and if the solution isn't move along, then what's the solution? There is no fifth option. So next time somebody complains, think about that as well, all right?
So these results are happening night after night because of the efforts of this federal task force that are working alongside the Metropolitan Police Department, who agree with this effort. In fact, the Metropolitan Police Department union stated that President Trump is right to do this, that crime has been totally out of control in the city, and the residents of Washington, maybe not the journalists because they don't want to admit President Trump is right who live here, but the residents agree, according to a Washington Post poll. 65% of D.C. residents say that crime is a very serious problem in the District of Columbia. And while Democrats want to rant and rave and coddle criminals, President Trump wants to put them behind bars. And that's what this task force is focused on doing for the next 28 days.
Caroline, I know that the president can do this for 30 days if he notifies the right committees in Congress, which he did. There were some stories that Democrats were spreading the narrative. We don't need the National Guard in there because crime has gone down around 30%, 26%, I think, this past year, and 35% the year before that. And then we heard those numbers might be inaccurate. They might be false. And some people were let go or they were suspended, right, Brian, from their jobs because of it. Can you clear that up for us? Are those numbers correct?
Yeah, these numbers are absolutely correct, and we will continue to provide the American public and the press with the numbers because we're proud of these efforts. If the Democrats had their way, there would be hundreds more criminals roaming free in the streets of the District of Columbia.
I would like to know from if there happens to be a troll or two in here, you tell me. Why do you want the criminals to run roughshod? It's a very simple question. Again, options. Options are clean it up, and don't tell me that Washington could have cleaned it up because they didn't. Don't tell me that the crime is down because you're not counting juvenile crime, which is what these knuckleheads are, most of them. What's the problem? Oh, it's authoritarian, it's fascist, it's this and it's that. You don't make any sense to people who just want safety. They just want to understand if I go to work or I go down to the bodega and I come home, I can actually get home. They don't care. It's power, power, power. Or worse.
Right now, there would be hundreds of more illegal aliens who this task force has already detained and arrested, and now they are focused on deporting from our country. Those individuals would remain in the District of Columbia, where they would have been free to do more harm. And that's not counting all of the would-be criminals that may have committed violent crimes and maybe taken the lives of law-abiding residents of this city, if not for the deterrence. There is a huge law enforcement presence here in our nation's capital. Just drive through the streets and you will see it. And that helps to deter crime. We saw this decades ago in New York City when it was once a safe city. The president is implementing those same law and order strategies that work. History is on our side with this, and we know the people are on our side with this. So we're going to continue to enforce our nation's laws.
Can that even be up for debate? Can it be up to debate that a strong police presence deters crime? Can anybody, anywhere say, no, that doesn't work? The deterrence isn't going to be strong enough by having more visible law enforcement. No, it's not true. Of course it deters crime. Of course it makes the bad guys think twice. In fact, beyond thinking twice, they may turn around and go someplace else. Like, we cannot meet this force. And because they can't meet the force, they can't do what they want to do. They can only exist in the shadows or when they are unchecked. And at this point, we need to stop both of that. We need to get into the shadows, and we need to make sure they're checked. And I don't understand, and no Democrat and some of the nuts in the media can explain why that's a bad thing. All right, so it's 1:01, waiting for President Trump to come out. Timed that perfectly. He still has not walked out. We never know whether or not he's going to be on time. So I don't know when he's coming. In the interim, let me jump and talk to you about, what's that? The dog walking around. PDS debt. All right, so the system isn't broken. It's rigged. And if you're buried in debt, that's exactly how they want it. Big banks profit when you're desperate. Creditors win when you lose, but you don't have to play their game. PDS debt helps you take back control. They've helped hundreds of thousands of people break free from credit cards, loans, and high-interest traps. It's your money, it's your future, and time for you to fight for both. Yes, it is a fight. Take it back from these debt collectors. PDS debt goes beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation, and they help craft a personalized plan designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score required. You don't have to worry about qualifying. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, in your pocket. Can't really complain about that. PDS debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and it boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. I can tell you, if I personally needed something to, assimilate or shrink my debt, I would use PDS debt. It is that good. You're 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best options for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Barry. You can see it on the screen, pdsdebt.com/Barry, or you can use the QR code, pdsdebt.com/Barry. All right, so let's take some comments while we're waiting for President Trump to come on out. Let's go here. Where was this? We used to have outreach centers in bad neighborhoods. They got rid of them fast. Yeah, why? Why did they get rid of outreach centers? I don't know. That would be a great question to find out in terms of they're there to help the people do what they need to do. So it doesn't make any sense why those things would have been stopped, why they would stop encouraging people to do that. Dems want a third world electorate. You know what's funny is they always think that they're not susceptible or vulnerable. Instead of realizing if we don't clean this up, we're in trouble too. But they don't see it that way. Come on, SB. Name a doctor you trust more than Joe Biden. How about oh gosh, you do. SB. There's a good one, Charlene. Churches need to step up and help the homeless. I agree, exactly. No money for the real criminals. Exactly. Let me see. Continue here. Look at some more. Melania is she threatened to sue Hunter. She didn't actually sue him, but she should. Only a liberal idiot. Where'd that go? That was a good one. Only a liberal idiot. Here it is. Marshall Holler. Only a liberal idiot would disagree with law enforcement on appending these illegal elements being in this country. And that's a number of elements. I'm glad you said that. It's the dealers. It's the gangbangers. It's the newcomers. None of which belong in a truly functioning society. There is no mayor anywhere who says, you know what, I'd like to put the power plant over there. We'd like to do some housing here. We're going to make this area restaurants and nightclubs. And let's throw in some homeless people and some newcomers, and where the gang's going to hang out. If that isn't what goes through somebody's mind, I'm being facetious here, but if that's not part of your planning, then why is it involved in your city to begin with? Why would that not be the first thing? Hey, listen, I just got elected here, so day one, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop and really put a presence on the street and stop the crap. Reverend Al, sorry, the time for talk is gone because the DEI police chief could have done this a long time ago. She got 3,500 cops. They know where the hot spots are. Let's go ahead and descend in there and stop it. They won't do it. They won't do it. All right. Yeah, Hunter said he's not taking it down. Yep. You know why he's not taking it down? He's probably judgment proof. And what I mean by that is Melania threatened like $1 billion lawsuit. I bet you if she said $100,000 lawsuit, doesn't matter. You never collected on me. I'm a deadbeat. I don't have anything. You want some art? And so, yeah, it's easy to say, go ahead, sue me. I ain't got anything. I'm sucking off my dad's whatever money he has. He's not making any money. He's not working. He's not a lawyer. Definitely ain't working for Burisma anymore. So he's just sitting around just soaking it in. He doesn't have anything. So, of course, you can talk crap at that point because you got nothing to lose. Sorry, go ahead, sue me. I probably won't even show up for the court. Get in line. Hunter is high. Yeah, exactly. Barry, ask Grok exactly, how do people that want socialism make a capitalist country turn into a socialist country? I can pretty much tell you how to do that. That's pretty simple. That actually is going to be my next segment. I don't want to get into it because if I get into this next segment, he'll walk out and then I'll have to stop. So I'll show you in a minute how you do that. The early bird gets the worm, the second mouse gets the cheese. The liberals don't care about the well-being of people. Lisa, you know what's weird is you're probably right, and it's hard for people to accept that. It's hard for people to accept that they really don't care. That's weird. They had large night operations in D.C. last night with mass arrests. Good. I'm just checking the camera here. Let me see if the other one has come on yet. And make sure that this is working, because we don't want to miss a second. And hold on one second. Let me do this. Hold on. Give me a second here. I'm going to get the other feed working just in case he's ready. I just have to make sure that it's up and running. Give me 30 seconds.
Somewhere to be every night of the week. Seems God ain't close as he used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right. with no one to love. And it's making me wonder if maybe mom and dad had it right all along.
All right, so I got the feed up, so we're not going to miss anything. Hey, I wanted to let you guys know that one of the moderators here is not feeling well. In fact, she had to go to the hospital last night. Ashley's been talking to her. Beth is under the weather. I'm not sure of the exact medical issue, but if you guys could, just say a prayer for Beth, and hopefully she can be back up real soon. Beautiful song. Yeah, and that's just regular stuff. What's this? I mean, when I say regular stuff, that's just royalty-free music. Wasn't some song I found on the radio or something. Barry, you and your team have opened my eyes completely. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Trump's law enforcement are after the human. Yep, I believe that. We talked about that last night. I know that some people may have said, "Well, Barry, that was kind of deep there, kind of deep." But wanted to touch some things that, this whole stuff with the tunnels is kind of weird when you think about it. A lot of stuff going on that we probably don't see. Thanks, Dave, praying for Beth. Yes, yes. Thank you guys all for praying for Beth. Like I said, I don't know what happened, but Ashley texted me this morning and said she was ill. Please call them what they are: communists. Liberals and Democrats do not exist. The country saw what socialism was like during COVID. Yep. Yep. And the fact that, we have to talk about it like that really shed some light on it, because, the whole thing with, what's his name? Zorhan up in New York, and the fact that we're about to see the biggest city in the country turn over to socialist hands. That's kind of scary. I mean, that's a lot scary. I don't know what these people up there must be thinking. I saw he was at Staten Island today, and the people in Staten Island ain't having it. A lot of the Goombas live in Staten Island. They better do something. That city goes into communist hands, they are completely screwed. Don't know what they will do at that point. Let's see here. A lot of prayers for Beth. Barry, what you said on Rumble, a lot of us knew. We've been waiting patiently. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Again, you knew. You've seen some of this stuff. I can't tell you how many people were like, "Whoa, what is this?" We're just opening some eyes. And Marilyn, I'm sure because you said you knew some of this, there were people you couldn't tell, people you couldn't engage with this information. You definitely couldn't talk about it on social media. Facebook, these guys here, and old Twitter would have just banned you. Go away. You're not allowed to talk. And so, yes, I appreciate some of the old timers. I'm not talking about your age. I'm talking about your, how long you've been following some of the stuff that's been going on. They've tried everything to call us kooks, to call us conspiracy theorists, everything. And now we're seeing a lot of this stuff. And so tonight's show, when I do tonight's show, I've done some research. I got some information as to everything, not everything, but nobody has everything, but to a lot of what's going on with the deep state and all these investigations and all the new information that's coming out. It's unreal. It's unreal. And the thing that shocks me is that there are still people out there who say nothing is happening. I think I posted 3 or 4 posts this morning about arrests, breaking up sex trafficking operations, all kinds of things, and yet people keep saying nothing is happening. And there's a few people out there who just completely trash everything. And I'm thinking, what do you want? What exactly? Oh, it's only if like these 5 or 6 people arrested. The entire administration is of no use unless these people you want arrested are arrested. Not the thousands of other arrests, not the thousands of kids that they found. None of that seems to matter to anybody unless this happens. Okay. What is this? Wild Bill. I don't know what this. Let's see here. If you follow the 17th letter, you've known for quite a while. This plan has been in place for, and President Trump has this under control. Yeah, but see, Emily, they call everybody nuts. Complete nuts. They're causing division by gaslighting. Let's see here. What else we got here? It's just weird to me. Those people are sad. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Who said that? Georgia. Georgia just said, it's just weird to me. Those people are sad. Wait a minute. Somebody just said Beth sent them a message. Hey, Christina, just sent Beth a message with prayers for her recovery. Yeah, she's probably resting. This last night, a lot of people thought was just crazy. The location of the tunnels alone, just where those tunnels are. And, not everybody, so many people are like, oh, it's no big deal. They just move documents and artifacts and all these things back and forth. And seriously? How long's the Smithsonian been there? How long's the White House been there? How long's the Capitol been there? So they just had this underground transportation system like Disney. The problem is a lot of people just don't, and I understand this. There's a lot of people who don't want to believe that their government has been involved in these things. There are still people probably walking around who don't think the government was involved in JFK's assassination. They don't believe that. They don't believe that RFK was assassinated by the government. They don't. No. It was Sirhan. It was Oswald. It was this person. It was James Earl Ray. None of these people had anything to do with the government. They like being in their state of naivete. They like being ignorant and don't want to know because it's too scary to begin looking at. And I'm not going to go into all the pictures and all the different things. I'm just saying there are a lot of people who believe their government. And then probably until the last couple of years, they believed everything the media told them. See, this is where the real takedown is. The real takedown is the advent of social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all this stuff, because now you have the opportunity to go seek out news that may be more informative, that you can actually verify, that you can, let me see, did this happen? It happens in our chat all the time. And SV will see something and he'll say, nope, not true. Yeah, okay. You guys have seen it. I don't know who they are, but people will say in here, hey, The View got canceled. Somebody said it last night. And it's all it takes. And then people run with it. Well, it wasn't canceled yet. They're just on hiatus, as they say. There's no official announcement of cancellation. But people will put it in the chat. I don't know if there's anything untoward that they're talking about, but it's in the chat. People will talk about it. Not true. And so you have SV's, right there, I look at my phone, if something pops up, he'll say, hey, go ahead and check this, check that. I'm like, okay. And otherwise, people get out there and just say things, and they have no idea if they are true. So just be careful. But that is something that has indeed caused the media at this point a lot of consternation, because people are constantly calling them out. It's BS. That's BS. You're outright lying, because we know we can get caught. That's why I try to be very careful and say, here, go look this up. Here's the link. Go look up and see what Trump. Remember the thing I showed you last night was so interesting, where he's like, the only person you can know when something is actually happening is when it comes out of his mouth. When President Trump says, this is what I'm doing, well then, understand what he may be saying, but we can start looking at breadcrumbs, but nobody else. I like Stephen Miller. I love it and love the way this guy talks, but until the boss says it, then I know something's going on. Speaking of the boss, a part of tonight, I just want to show you this. Part of what I'm going to be doing tonight is assimilating all of this information. As Rush Limbaugh used to say, he's going to go through the stack of stuff here, because there's a whole stack of stuff going on right now. And all these drops that are happening. let me just show you what's been going on with President Trump. Let me move that comment real quick here. Not bad for having to do all this the old-fashioned way by hand. But anyway, all right. So we got this one. He's posted this earlier. Clapper pushed to compromise normal steps. He posted this about the U.S. Marshals. And we're going to go in through all of these things later. He goes through Made in America agenda delivers manufacturing boom. And he listed to a whitehouse.gov article. We're going to talk about that. This one was a big one. Declassified emails show James Clapper told intelligence officials to compromise on procedures for a 2017 report. He posted it. He wants you to know about it. We'll talk about it. Obama Intel Chief James Clapper told NSA head to get on board with our story. Clapper got some problems. He talks about it, D.C. being as bad as Trump said, and this was from the Federalist. And this was his big one. He says, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard newly declassified top-secret emails sent on December 22nd, 2016, which is right after the 2016 election, complying with President Obama's order to create the manufactured January 2017 ICA intelligence assessment about Russia expose how DNI Clapper demanded the IC fall in line behind the Russia hoax. Clapper admits that it was a team sport that required, quote, compromise on our normal modalities. And there's the actual email. We're going to go over that tonight. Then he jumps on Comey. Comey's media mole told FBI he shaped Russian narrative, needed a discount to deny leaking intel. So he's been busy putting it. Then this one, shut it down, bombshell. FBI timeline exposes political interference in Clinton corruption probe. There is so much happening. I mean, it literally is an overload. Complete overload in terms of what we're seeing right now. Just so much. All right. That's what we're going to be covering tonight. Now, let's see here. Living in the Days of Deception by Pastor Jack Hibbs. Excellent read. I don't know who he is, but yeah, we're definitely living in the age of deception. If they cancel The View, who will we make fun of? They're always good for a laugh. Yeah, exactly. Barry researched the tunnels that are under the Getty Museum. Y'all giving me homework now. Let me look up the tunnels under the Getty Museum. I thought the Getty Museum was the Smithsonian. Is its own museum? Getty Tunnels. Okay, I'm writing it down. Whatever I find, hopefully I can get some stuff for you guys later. They threw America. Too many people don't know we the American people run government, and when something is wrong, American citizens need to question it. Exactly. All right, so he hasn't come out yet. Ashley, if you're in here, you're probably going to have to push the interview. So here's what happened. We have an interview scheduled for 2:30, and we were like, are we going to make it? Are we not going to make it? And I'm like, it all depends on whether he comes out on time. And it doesn't look, well, obviously he's not coming on time. He's already 25 minutes late. So as of right now, we're 25 minutes behind schedule. And then I'm sure he'll talk for whatever he's got to say. And then he'll probably take questions. So Ashley, maybe I have to text her about it. But whew, this is crazy. And he's 25 minutes late. So I'm going to start another piece. And hopefully I can, let me see my shortest piece here that I can get into without him completely making a mess of it. Let's talk about that's 8 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna continue with what's going on with the media. So you heard earlier that the black media, Al Sharpton and the black congresswoman were talking about it being a race issue. It has to be a race issue. Now, I want you to hear something interesting here. This is some of the white media realizing, I think Trump's got a good thing here. I think people want to be safe. Listen to this. And I have to do this by hand. I was going to push my button, but I can't. All right, here we go. And go.
So I've worked extensively with police, and I don't have a problem tactically with what Donald Trump is doing here. He doesn't have to be the most dangerous place on earth. Something can be improving, but still really bad. If your house is on fire and then a third of the fire goes out, it's less bad, but it could still be an emergency.
Why does it take people to have to explain that? The first thing that they want to say is crime is down, but they never say down to what? What's the acceptable number of crime that we should just ignore? If 40 people got killed and now this month or this year it's down to 28, it's down. It's no big deal. What's the number? And smart people, even people on CNN, are like, hey, man, it's still bad. The house is still on fire.
Work in D.C. It is dangerous there. You cannot deny that. And a common police tactic is to surge resources. We call them task forces. They're applauded across the board, across the political board. I've done it in New Jersey. I've done it in New York. You take the FBI, you team them up with the Newark PD, what have you. You make a visible presence. Now, is some of it for appearance and show? Yes, because what it does is A, it assures people. It gives people a bit of confidence and security. And B, it deters people from committing crime. So it's not going.
Ever been in a nightclub? If you've been in a nightclub, you would see guys like me there. We were the guys that hung out in the corner and we just stood like this. And the reason why we're there in the nightclub was because we were to deter the drunks that wanted to start some crap. And because they saw us looking quite ominous, they thought better when they got stupid. Of course, some of the times we had to go into action. I equate that to exactly the same thing. You could also go further back in your life, during your formative years. There's this things that most people had called parents. And when your parents were in the room, it was a little bit different when they were out of the room. When mom and dad weren't there and you decided, let me look at this magazine or something. And I found this magazine with girlies in it. Hey, you don't do it anymore. Some of my friends who indulged in cigarettes thought they were cool. Put that stuff out. Mom came in the room. It's very simple. We grew up our entire lives like that. And sometimes when we stepped over the line, whackity-doo, it happened. Pow, ow, ow, ow. And so deterrence is something we've all grown up with. We went from being children and had deterrence to being young adults and going to nightclubs and getting spanked by bouncers. And then you also had people at work tell you can't do certain things because HR wouldn't allow it. So President Trump it's now turning on. So let's get to it.
Thank you very much for being with us. It's good time for this country, whether you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I think you're hearing it from a lot of people, not just from me. We're doing very well in so many ways. And the gentleman on my right, we recruited him. We tried to get the best person. We got a man that you'll hear in a second has done an amazing job with respect to Social Security. He's running it, and he's running it like nobody ever even dreamt possible. And it's the 90th anniversary right now of Social Security. So today we celebrate that 90th anniversary of one of the most significant pieces of legislation ever signed into law, the Social Security Act of 1935, and we're going to make it stronger, bigger and better. Really doing a job. In the campaign, I made a sacred pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. You keep hearing stories that in 6 years, 7 years, Social Security will be gone, and it will be if the Democrats ever get involved because they don't know what they're doing. But it's going to be around a long time with us. Very much, you'll be surprised to hear some of the numbers. I'm delighted to be joined by the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Frank Bisignano, who in the world of business, in fact, I wrote some of the little things down, that he's had an amazing, he was Chief Operating Officer of J.P. Morgan Chase. He worked for Jamie Dimon. And Jamie Dimon said that he was amazing. So think of that chief operating officer, J.P. Morgan Chase, had a storied career. Then he went to First Data. For those in the business, you'd know it's the largest payment company anywhere in the world. And worked for Henry Kravis, and it was in big trouble. He took it over as CEO. He made it incredible. They merged with Fiserv, and he became CEO of that, and that became extremely successful. I was in Milwaukee. I guess they have the Milwaukee Arena, and where we had some good success and some good speeches. But he's a really legendary guy, and he wanted to do this. I mean, he just wanted to straighten out Social Security because he loves our country. And what he's done in a few months is amazing. Almost 60 million American seniors rely on Social Security for peace of mind and a life of dignity and retirement. These Americans paid into the system, and they deserve leaders in Washington who are going to protect the benefits they've had and protect Social Security. Under Biden, Social Security went down like nobody's ever seen. It deteriorated. There's never been anything like it. The 4 years of Biden were very, very destructive. It couldn't have gone on much longer. Social Security was going to be destroyed. It was being destroyed. The average call wait time reached an all-time high of more than 42 minutes. Field office wait times were at 32 minutes, which is unheard of, and the disability claims backlog was the longest ever in recorded history. In other words, it was run just like the country was run. It was run really badly. But I'm pleased to report that under our leadership, and Frank in particular, the changes he's made and what he's done is sort of a miracle. Sort of like what happened with the country as a whole. Field office wait times are now down 30% since last year, and it looks like it's going to a total record number. And the record was set in a long time ago when the world was a lot different place. We're going to beat that record. Call wait times are down 73% while serving twice as many customers per day. The disability claims backlog is down 26%, and seniors now have 24/7 online access to their accounts, which they never had before, whereas under Biden, the website was down 29 hours a week for maintenance purposes. It was essentially not open very much. They were always maintaining it, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had a person running that had no idea what they were doing. Among my very first acts was to order all government employees to return to the office or be removed from the job, which means our Social Security offices are now open for full business hours 5 days a week. So unlike being shut down all the time, we're open at record levels also. We're making it really great for the people that want and demand Social Security, and they paid into the system. They deserve it. Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right? No tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. And 275,000, and that number is now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job. And what that's doing is making the system strong. It's making it strong. Biden never kicked anybody off. Everybody joined. And we're carrying out historic deportations to remove many more illegals committing Social Security fraud. It's the Social Security fraud that was taking place at levels that nobody's ever seen. We cleared 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database over 120 years of age. Think of that. So we had 12.4 million names when they were over 120 years old. Is that right? That's a hell of a statement. I have a feeling, Dan, that's not really really didn't happen, did it? So you have 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database that were over 120 years of age, meaning you were breaking records, because I've never heard of anybody at 125. There were nearly 135,000 people listed who were over 160 years old. and in some cases getting payments. So somebody's getting those payments, and we're after that. We're also fighting the menace of inflation to make life more affordable for American seniors, and we've ended Biden's inflation nightmare. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all. And yet our country is taking in tens of billions of dollars and trillions of dollars, actually trillions of dollars in tariffs. You know all about it. It's been amazing. They say, why are we taking in so much money? Last week they found $29 billion and they couldn't figure out where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. And they said, how did you know that's where it came from? We're taking in billions and even trillions of dollars in tariffs paid by other countries who, frankly, were taking advantage of us for many, many years. And they were doing that to us, but our people didn't know it. We didn't have smart business people. We've ended Biden's inflation nightmare and came in below expectations. And yet, again, this past month, we set records. Gasoline prices are way down, and really dramatically, as everybody knows. And energy prices have been going down, other than in certain states where you have Democrat-run states where they put windmills all over the place. Anytime you see a windmill, you'll say, well, they have bad energy costs. And it's happening in New Jersey. I saw that there's a revolution going on in New Jersey. They closed up a nuclear power plant, and they're raising electricity rates by 21, 22, and 28%, something like that. And you're going to have a new governor in New Jersey. I'll tell you what, you have a good man running in the Republican Party. He'll get him down. But what they've done is they've killed so many good sources of energy for very expensive windmills and lots of other things that don't work. 401ks and retirement accounts are soaring, and the stock market is setting record highs. Almost every day we're going record highs, and yet we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So it's turned out that Trump was right and they were wrong. A few smart people knew what was going to happen. A few of us were right. So we're going to keep the fighting going. We're going to make America's seniors every single day. We're going to fight for them. We're going to make them richer, better, stronger in so many different ways. But Social Security is like pretty much the one that we think about, and we love it, and we love what's happening with it. And it's going to be good for 90 years and beyond. Again, you were given only a short period of time. Social Security was supposed to be like down. Had they won the election, Social Security would have defaulted during Biden or Kamala's election, whoever they so chose. Two beauties. And now what I'd like to do is ask Frank to say a few words. Again, this is a man with a really storied past. He's one of the most successful anywhere in the world. What he did at J.P. Morgan Chase and what he did for Henry Kravis and all of the others are like legendary stories. And he just wanted to do this. He's making about a tiny fraction, I would say, a tiny fraction of what you used to make. But he didn't care. He wanted to do it. He made a lot of money. And he said, I want to run that system. I want to put it back on track. And he's got unbelievable talent over there. It's like a different place. So, Frank, would you say a few words, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Is less than 1% tiny fraction, sir?
Is that what it is? Less than one? That's a tiny
That's
fraction.
an honor. It's an
honor.
honor. It is an honor. And I'd like to start off by thanking the president for his tireless effort in running the country and what he's done across the country, meeting every commitment. And, you know, I see it directly in the big, beautiful bill, the opportunity that it's brought to seniors. But his effort on every commitment, delivering against it, and delivering on world peace tirelessly. I'd like to also thank him for my opportunity. You know, he's teasing me, I'm teasing him about the economics of the job. But the reality is to serve 300 million Americans, which is what Social Security serves, is a tremendous honor. And him putting that faith in me and building what I believe, and I think I have a right to say it, is the best leadership team ever assembled in the White House and in the cabinet. So that's my great honor. So I come here and get the opportunity to serve the American public in a manner that I never imagined in my life. And what we found was the opportunity to fix a foundation. The reality is, people talk about 72 beneficiaries. I talk about over 300 million Americans with a Social Security number that we must protect through the system. And when you look at what we talk about in eliminating Social Security numbers that were live in the system, they could carry fraud through the whole system. So the first thing was root out fraud, waste, and abuse. But while doing it, the best way to be more efficient is provide more accurate payments and better service. And you heard the numbers. I think the most staggering number is that we had a website that was down 29 hours. This will be a digital-first agency, and we are building my SSA accounts. That's the digital account. And we have a bold goal of 200 million Americans to have a digital SSA account by the end of next year. It will happen. Just like we had a bold goal of single-digit wait time on the calls when they were at 40 minutes. And we did that. This is my 100th day. We did that within 90 days, right? Get the web up and running, bring technology to our field offices, use digital presence to answer and serve the American public. That's the job. When we do all that, then we'll really know the answer to if we have a hole, right? I was presented in my second week on the job with $18 billion in errors by the Inspector General. It was public. In less than a month, we solved $9 billion of it. So that's the type of swift action we can take, right? You see the things like the big, beautiful bill for the seniors. You see better digital services. You see field office wait times down. If you make an appointment to have a field office visit, it now happens in 6 minutes. Unprecedented. We are serving more people and delivering more than was ever delivered before in a manner with the highest possible quality, and we've just begun. You should expect this to be a great digital-first agency. My commitment to make this happen is as deep as the president's commitment to make the world a great place. And you see the fabulous job happening here across America and what he's doing in the world. You should expect Social Security, just like the president. I thank him for making America great again. It's happening. Social Security will be great again. You have my commitment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Sir. I'm going to sign the new proclamation, please.
Sir, this is a proclamation both commemorating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, the signing of the Social Security Act, and also the incredible accomplishments of your administration fixing and promoting and safeguarding Social Security. And it also obviously mentions the fact that as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
That's a big factor, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's great. I think they're very happy about it, too. They're very happy about a lot of things. Good job, Frank.
Thank you, sir.
And Frank has brought with him some of the most talented people in business, and they were making a lot of money, but they made a lot of money. They had money they didn't have to make anymore, and they just want to do this. They want to have our country become strong and good, and that's what's happening. And we're doing that in a lot of locations, a lot of areas. You deal with some of the people that are commissioners, that are secretaries of state, secretaries of treasury and of commerce, people that were really, really successful people, and they gave all that up to make a very small amount of money. They don't even consider it a fraction. You say 1%, less than 1%. That's pretty good. That's a big pay cut. But Frank is one of the most outstanding of all. His career has been incredible, and you just have to look at what happened at J.P. Morgan Chase and look at what happened with First Data. First Data was the biggest company of its kind in the world, but it was not going to make it. He went in, and it became a tremendous success. It merged into another company, and he became the head of that company. Then he said, let me go save Social Security. Because as big as that stuff is, it's small potatoes compared in terms of numbers, right? In terms of numbers, these are big numbers. Government numbers are big numbers. So I want to thank everybody for being here, but I'm really proud of you, Frank. And here's your proclamation, and let's take a look at what that looks like. Signed by the human hand. For a change. That's good, right? Do you have any questions for Frank? How about questions for Frank? For Frank?
Mr. President?
Yes, on Social Security.
Please.
First and foremost, this was a major campaign promise that you had. 2023 it was one of the first Agenda 47s that you put out. It was titled, We Must Protect Medicare and Social Security. Why was this important for both of you to get done, and given the fact that it will impact millions of lives?
Well, it was very important to me because I knew how Social Security, I've been hearing about it for years, long before I came to office, that it was really going to die very shortly. And I had to put somebody outstanding in, and I was talking to him on a business sense once, and I said, this guy's amazing. And he said, I'd love to help you with Social Security because it's sort of what he does. He takes troubled entities and turns them around. And he did some of the biggest messes in the world, and Social Security in a certain way, I guess, you reported it all the time. In 4 or 5 years, it's going to go bust, but not anymore, it's not. And he's got it turned around so well. The proclamation helps. All of the things we've done help. And he's finding such tremendous fraud where we have illegal aliens. We have people that don't even exist on Social Security now. They don't exist. And what it does, it makes it totally secure and powerful for the people that are on it and need it. And we're very proud of the job he's done, one of the best.
Kara Castro from Lintel TV. How are you today, sir? Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren continue to peddle the lie and the claim that you're trying to cut Social Security, despite your repeated promises to protect it. Why do you think they keep pushing this misinformation and literally terrorizing the elderly in America that sadly keep watching the very misleading mainstream media?
I love your question. I should have called you almost first, but I love his questions also, always. But it's such a good question. It's so vicious what they do. Elizabeth Warren said she was an Indian. We call her Pocahontas. She's a liar. She lied her whole career. Based on the fact that she was an Indian, she was able to get into certain colleges, get certain jobs, get into certain universities to work there. She's a liar and a mean person. She's a nut job. I watched her the other night. She's all hopped up endorsing a communist in New York City. And she was all excited and jumping up and down. She's got to take a drug test. She really does. She's got to take a drug test. There's no way somebody can act that way and be normal. What she's done to our financial institutions, she destroys people. Do you know that you had a lot of great banks in the Midwest and banks that loaned to farmers and others, and they went out of business? She put them out of business. Stone cold mean. Banks that were open 150 years, family banks that supplied the farmers and manufacturers and others, and she put them out of business. She's a mean, horrible human being. Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders. I don't mind him so much. He's just a liberal guy, very liberal guy. He's a wacky guy. He's still sharp. I got to tell you, he's 86 or 87 or something. He's still sharp. You compare that to Joe Biden, it's, sort of what happened. So I don't mind Bernie Sanders. With him, you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy, he's a nasty guy, but he's somebody that, I don't know if I call it a fastball, but he's able to throw the ball pretty well. He's okay. I watched him the other day. He was totally on the opposite side of things. I will say this, the biggest issue right now, and an issue that's really taken hold, is crime, stopping crime in the cities, and the Democrats are fighting the stopping of crime. So I think that's like men playing in women's sports is okay, or transgender for everybody okay. But this is a bigger issue. This is the biggest of all issues. Crime is rampant in D.C. It's rampant in our generally blue-run cities. And they've got to do something about it, or they're never going to win another election. And instead of calling me a dictator, they like to say Trump's a dictator. Trump's a dictator. Well, I had calls from many, many friends, including Democrats. I have a lot of Democrat friends, but they're normal people. and they were thanking me so much for what I'm doing in D.C. They feel so safe already. And at the border, we had 0 people come in, and this is done by a liberal group. They're the people that do it. I have nothing to do with it. 0 people in 3 months. We had 0, 0, and 0 for 3 months. And last year we had millions of people pouring in from all countries, from jails, from drug addicts, gang members, drug dealers by the thousands and thousands. 11,888 murderers, half of whom committed more than one murder. They flowed into our country, and for the last 3 months we had none. And I didn't remember when Joe Biden used to always go, I need legislation. I had no legislation. I just said, we're closing the borders, and the whole world understood it because they respect your country again. They really respect this country again. They didn't respect it. When he said it, it didn't mean anything. But now they know it meant a lot. And Mexico does what we tell them to do, and Canada does what we tell them to do, because we have the 2 borders. We have the northern border, southern border, and they were both horrible. But now it's some people say it's a miracle. Well, what Frank has done with Social Security also is something very special. But what we're doing with crime, which will be your next question, I guess, that's because everyone's they're afraid. Half of the people here, maybe all of the people here, most of you live in D.C., you are petrified to go out. And you're liberal, and if you're liberal, you're going to have to change. You're Democrats, you're going to have to change your ways. So we will have crime under control very shortly in D.C., but they're record numbers. And sadly, what I guess the mayor did, but whoever it was, they asked the numbers to be fudged so that it would show less crime than the fact. The fact is, it's worse than it's ever been, and we will have it just like we did at the border, where with borders are totally in great shape right now, the best ever, record-setting shape. We'll have the crime situation solved in D.C. very soon. And we're also going to beautify the city. We have a beautiful city, but you can't have graffiti, and you can't have roads with potholes, and you can't have the medians, the dividers in the roads falling down on the street. We're going to be beautifying the city, making it really beautiful. We're going to be getting the criminals the hell out of here. We don't want the criminals in Washington, D.C.
Mr. President, one on your Putin meeting and then one on D.C. crime. Are you prepared to offer Vladimir Putin access to rare minerals to incentivize him to end the war?
We're going to see what happens with our meeting. We have a big meeting. It's going to be, I think, very important for Russia, and it's going to be very important for us, and important for us only that we're going to save a lot of lives. Look, we have, we're not paying any money, as you know, to Ukraine. We're supplying equipment. We're being paid 100% plus for that equipment by NATO. And I got NATO up from 2% to 5% of GDP. They now have billions of dollars. NATO is a very rich group of countries, and we make the best military equipment anywhere in the world by far. And they're buying our equipment, and they're paying 100% for the equipment, 100%. In fact, they owe us about $2 billion now. They're going to send a check. Another one was sent recently for $1 billion. So we're not spending any money anymore. Biden gave them $350 billion, got nothing for it. And if you look, and by the way, we also signed a rare earth deal where we get, years of rare earth to get our money back, the money we spent. But what I'm really doing this for is to save thousands of soldiers a week. You have Russian soldiers, you have Ukrainian soldiers, and then you'll have missiles dropped into various cities and towns in Ukraine. And they're losing last week they lost 7,251 people, mostly soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. I'm doing it for that reason. We have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good meeting, but the more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself, and maybe we'll bring some of the European leaders along, maybe not. I don't know that it's going to be very important. We're going to see what happens. And I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along. And if they can, it'll be great. I've solved 6 wars in the last 6 months, a little more than 6 months now, and I'm very proud of it. I thought the easiest one would be this one. It's actually the most difficult. We had one war raging, as you know, for 37 years. One in the Congo with Rwanda was raging for 31 years. We solved 6 of them made peace, not just solved them, we made peace. If you look at Pakistan and India, planes were being knocked out of the air. 6 or 7 planes came down. They were ready to go. Maybe nuclear, we solved that. I thought this would be maybe an easier one. It never made sense, this war. It would have never happened when I was president. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But millions of people have been killed. And I'm there for one reason, to see if I can solve. This was Biden's war. This isn't my war. I want to see if I can stop the killing. Yeah.
But rare earths, do you plan to offer him access to that at all?
We have great rare earth. We made that as payment for all of the money that we've spent so foolishly in Ukraine. We spent $350 billion. Now, Europe spent $1 billion. That's a lot of money. They spent $100 billion. That's a lot of money. But we shouldn't be spending a lot more money than them, and they understand that. And I think that's maybe why we're not spending money anymore. We're not spending any money. They're paying us for everything. So people are shocked when they hear it. They don't even understand. They don't even write about it. But we're not spending money, but we are spending a lot of time trying to get the war solved. If we can get the war solved, we'll be very happy. As far as rare earth, that's very unimportant relative to, I'm trying to save lives.
On DC crime,
do you have a message for the Democrat lawmakers like Nancy Pelosi or media who are saying, after living here for many years, that there is no crime and you're trying to start a new news cycle?
It's another reason why the Democrats lost the election in a landslide. They lie. It's just lie. Look, the crime is very bad. I think they'd be much better off saying, we want to help President Trump with the crime because it's an epidemic. It's a tragic situation. It's the worst it's ever been. And we want to help President Trump with the crime, as opposed to, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. People are so happy to see our military going into D.C. and getting these thugs out. As you know, we arrested a lot of people yesterday. We arrested a lot of people today. We're getting people that have arrest records that you wouldn't believe. 28 arrests, 15 arrests, brutal, brutal people. And we're going to have to do something about this cashless bail, because people shoot somebody, they kill somebody, and they're out on the street in less than an hour. Now, that's when it's all started in New York, in Chicago, Los Angeles. You take a look. If we didn't go to Los Angeles to help this incompetent governor and a mayor that doesn't know what the hell she's doing, if we didn't go to Los Angeles, you wouldn't have a big part of it burned down. The other part of it would have burned down, too. You would have not had, I don't think you would have been able to have the Olympics. We have the Olympics. I have a lot at stake with that, because I'm the one that got the Olympics. I got it in my first term. And I was saddened because I got it for what would be my third term, okay, which turned out to be second term. And the Olympics, it's a great honor, but I felt badly because I said I won't be president when the Olympics came. Well, through circumstance, I am president. I want to make sure the Olympics is great, the World Cup is great, and the 250, maybe the most important of all, is the 250-year celebration is great. So what's happening is we will work very hard. You would not have had, I don't believe that if I didn't send in the troops, I don't think you would have had Los Angeles in condition to have the Olympics. I think you would have had to tell them, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go someplace else. And if you look at the police commissioner or the sheriff, he said, we really needed them. Thank God they were here. We really needed them. That was the first 2 or 3 days. After we solved their problems, then he said, well, I think we could have maybe done it. No, he was told what to say. He said, you go back to your files and see what he said. He said, thank goodness they came. If I didn't go and put our military there, or National Guard in that case, and we'll go military if we have to, but the National Guard went there. They were very effective. If we didn't do that, I don't think you would have had the Olympics in Los Angeles. The place would have been just like the 25,000 houses that burned down, where, by the way, the governor ought to focus on getting their permits. You know, the federal permits are given. Those are the hard ones, and they were given a long time ago. People can't rebuild the house because they can't get permits from the state and the city, and they ought to focus on that because it's very upsetting. I went there right after the fires. I walked the streets, and I met a lot of great people. They want to rebuild their homes. We took care of it from the federal standpoint, but they're not taking care of it from the city, the mayor, and the governor. They're not getting their permits. They can't build their houses.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Do you think this summit and the incentives for peace you are putting on the table could end up rewarding Putin for his invasion of Ukraine? And what kind of signal do you think that could potentially send to other aggressors?
No, I don't think it's a reward. I think that what we have is a situation that should never have started, should have never started. It didn't start under me, and for 4 years it wasn't even discussed. And I could see it was going to happen after I left. I could see what was happening. Everything that we did was wrong. Everything that was done was wrong. Everybody's to blame. Putin's to blame. They're all to blame. This is a war that would have never happened.
Mr. President, we have a question on LA. Mr. President, earlier today, the Washington, D.C. police chief issued an executive order allowing metropolitan police officers conducting traffic stops to notify federal immigration and customs enforcement about undocumented immigrants that they encounter. Yet the city has a long-standing pro-immigration policy, including allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections.
Which is ridiculous.
And limiting cooperation with federal immigration agencies.
Right.
Did your administration pressure the D.C. police chief to review and repeal these policies? And will you require other cities to roll back similar policies to avoid possible federal takeover of local law?
Yeah, so what you're saying is that it was a very positive thing. When they stop people, they find they're illegal, they report them, they give them to us, etc. That's a very positive thing. I have heard that. It just happened. That's a great step. That's a great step if they're doing that. Yeah, I think that's going to happen all over the country. We want to stop crime. I think if the Democrats aren't strong on this issue, they won't be able to do it. I think this is a bigger issue than all of the other ridiculous things that they like open borders. Well, open borders is bad. Open borders has caused a lot of this problem, allowing millions and millions. I think 24 million people were allowed to come into our country. Many of these people from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions. This was the Biden policy. And I don't believe it was him. He was never there before. It was the people that encircled this very beautiful desk, the Resolute desk, radical left lunatics who were smart, but radical left. And I'm very happy to hear what you just said, because I've heard that.
And Mr. President, on L.A., if I may, the mother of a 15-year-old California boy was briefly detained at gunpoint in a case of mistaken identity. The LAUSD superintendent says that surveillance video shows armed agents wearing police and border patrol insignia. Given the National Guard, the Border Control, ICE agents, they're not trained in local policing. What specific steps are you taking to ensure that young people are not put in harm's way with these types of operations?
Yeah, what they are trained in is common sense, and they're very tough people. And they have great common sense, and they are highly trained. I heard the mayor of L.A. was saying, oh, they're not trained this way. I heard this character from, where was he from? They talk about him as a candidate. He's got no chance. The governor of Maryland, I watched him this morning saying that the governor of Maryland, yeah, they say maybe he'll be a president. He's not presidential timber at all. But I heard him today talking about how the National Guard or the military is not trained in police, but they're trained in common sense, and they're trained in not allowing people to burn down buildings and bomb buildings and shoot people and all of the things. They've done a great job. Again, if we didn't send them, and very importantly, if we didn't send them into Los Angeles, the rest of Los Angeles would have been burned down to the ground. When you look at Minnesota, Minneapolis, I sent them into Minneapolis because the governor wouldn't make the call. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't have a Minneapolis. It wouldn't be, I don't think it would be existent today. You remember the famous scene burning over the CNN anchor's shoulder. He said, everything seems to be very peaceful. And behind him, the whole city's burning down. So you had the whack job governor who ran for vice president and made a fool out of himself. You would have had, I saved that city. I'll tell you, I saved that city. So the bottom line is these are very tough people that are trained in a thing called common sense, and they're also trained in doing what we're talking about right now. And you watch crime stop, but you wouldn't have Los Angeles. It wouldn't be existent today. We would have had to cancel the Olympics if I let that go on.
Mr. President, will you pressure Israel to allow journalists into Gaza to cover the humanitarian efforts the U.S. is pursuing. And
I'd like to see that happen, Chair. I would like to see it happen. I would be very fine with journalists going in. It's a very dangerous position to be in, as you know, if you're a journalist. But I would like to see it.
And on tariffs, Brazil, Mexico, and Latin America are getting closer to China, and they say it's partly because of the tariffs you're imposing in those countries. Are you concerned them getting closer to China?
No, not at all. I'm not concerned at all. They can do what they want. None of them are doing very well, and what we're doing in terms of economics, we're blowing everyone away, including China. We're doing better than any other country in the world right now. Brazil has been a horrible trading partner in terms of tariffs. As you know, they charge us tremendous tariffs, far, far more than we were charging them. We weren't charging anything, essentially. And Brazil has some very bad laws happening where they took a president and they put him in jail, or they're trying to jail him. And I happen to know the man, and I will tell you, I'm pretty good at people. I think he's an honest man. I think what they've done, this is this is really a political execution that they're trying to do with Bolsonaro. I think that's terrible. But they also treated us very badly as trading partners for many, many years. One of the worst countries on earth for that. They charged tremendous tariffs, and they made it very difficult to do anything. So now they're being charged 50% tariffs, and they're not happy, but that's the way it goes.
Mr. President, on DC crime, are you concerned at all that some federal officers that are helping DC police might be being pulled away from other high priority assignments?
Like what? Like what?
Terrorism, for example.
Oh, really? Terrorism? They'll stop terrorism as part of what they're doing right now. No.
What an idiot.
The soldiers that we have, first of all, we have plenty of them, long beyond what that you have here. We're just using a very small force. You know, in Washington, D.C., they have thousands of police. They have a lot of police, but the police weren't allowed to do their job. We have a lot of great ones. And you have some that weren't so good, to be honest, but they weren't allowed to do their job. But now they are allowed to do their job, and essentially it's only 2 days, but you look at the numbers already, they're dropping. And no, they're not being pulled off for anything.
Mr. President, as you know, there were some very concerning reports about crime statistics. Police are manipulating crime data to downplay crime in D.C. Will the administration release its own crime statistics to counter their misinformation? And will those individuals who are intentionally misrepresenting crime data and fudging the books, like you said, be penalized for endangering the public?
They are under investigation right now. They are giving us phony crime stats, just like they gave other stats in the financial world. But they're phony crime stats. And Washington, D.C. is at its worst point, and it will soon be at its best point. You're going to have a very safe, you're going to have a crime-free city. I mean, I say that. You're going to have virtually a crime-free city. And these are strong men, but the criminals are strong men and women, but they're strong men. And these are people that don't play games. We're not playing games. These are criminals we're dealing with. And they treated people. They took one of the people that worked for us the other day. You saw the beating, the pounding, 10 against 1. And they pounded the hell out of him. He's lucky to be alive. He's barely, almost killed. And we're not going to have that happening, please.
Mr. Tulsi Gabbard declassified more documents last night related to the Russiagate hoax.
She's doing a great job, by the way. That was another fake story. I'm very happy with the job she's doing. That's right. They declassified some terrible documents talking about Democrats and what they did. Radical left lunatics.
It showed that then DNI James Clapper sent out emails to IC officials saying that it would be a team sport to push then the debunked 2017 ICA report, and that it might lead them to compromise on their normal modalities. What's your reaction to the latest declassification? And in your view, sir, what does real accountability look like for players?
It's incredible what we're finding. Absolute proof of guilt. And we'll see what happens. But Clapper and Comey and that whole group of criminals, they're criminals. And they made it very tough. You know, they did the fake Russia witch hunt that lasted for 2 years. And I got totally exonerated. There was no doubt about it. They should have done it in 1 day, not 2 years. But it was a whole scheme to try and demean Trump so that I couldn't win an election. And that is a criminal group of people. They're sick people, and they're criminals, and they should be taken care of.
Mr. President, does Putin have a strong hand tomorrow?
Well, he came to our country, and I heard CNN fake news talking about that was a big win for him. Normally, he would say the opposite, but they said, oh, it's a big win that he came here. Normally, he would say the opposite, he came here. I think that President Putin would like to see a deal. I think if I weren't president, he would take over all of Ukraine. It's a war that should have never happened. If I weren't president, in my opinion, he would much rather take over all of Ukraine. But I am president, and he's not going to mess around with me.
Mr. President, on Russia, Mr. President, would you support or agree to reducing NATO troops in Europe, in countries like Poland, in order to get Russia to agree to a peace deal?
That hasn't been put before me, and I'll think about that for later, but it has not been put before me. Go ahead.
Is anything less than an unconditional and immediate ceasefire a victory for the U.S.?
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, tomorrow we'll see. I say, I don't know where that comes from. Sort of not a good question. I would say that tomorrow, all I want to do is set the table for the next meeting, which should happen shortly. I'd like to see it happen very quickly, very shortly after this meeting. I'd like to see it actually happen maybe in Alaska, where we just stay because it's so much easier. But I think that it's going to be very interesting. We're going to find out where everybody stands, and I'll know within the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, like we tend to find out whether or not we're going to have a good meeting or a bad meeting. And if it's a bad meeting, it'll end very quickly. And if it's a good meeting, we're going to end up getting peace in the pretty near future. Okay? How about one more?
Mr. President, on the Smithsonian.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the Smithsonian, I know that your administration is seeking to weed out a lot of this left-wing spin that's in the museums, but we're seeing from people like Brian Stelter or other commentators that they're insinuating that you are trying to change history according to your narrative. What's your response to that, and is there anything you'd particularly like to take a look at?
We want the museums to treat our country fairly. We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner, which is what many of them, not all of them, but many of them are doing. Our museums have an obligation to represent what happened in our country over the years, good and bad, but what happened over the years in an accurate way. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, how do you reconcile that?
All righty. He stopped that abruptly. Done. All right, so let's do a recap. Yes, he's going to do some things with Social Security, but I guess most of the news came after he talked about the Social Security. It seems a little bit complex in what this guy's going to do, and he definitely seems like he's talented and can get the job done. But there were a couple things I noticed that hadn't been said that was new today. He mentioned that the data discrepancies between the people who say there's no crime and the people who say there's a lot of crime, they're being investigated. That's the first time we heard that at all. I think that was a big thing that he dropped. He also was asked about the whole thing with Tulsi Gabbard and Clapper. Didn't say much to that, but he said that Tulsi is doing a great job. This is what he wants. That's the underscore you can put. She's doing what he wants her to do. And then the third thing was that stupid comment by the guy, which really tells you these people don't have a clue. He's like, by the people having this much of a presence in Washington, are they being pulled away from their other jobs? What an absolute idiotic question. What you are saying is you don't know how policing works. You don't know how the military works. And you have no idea. None whatsoever. So stop asking questions because you don't have a clue what the hell's going on. Got a question for you. You guys can answer me here. Gavin Newsom, with his threat to President Trump, Gavin Newsom is set to come on at 2:30. Would you like to see that comedy show? I'm pretty sure I can get a feed for it, but you guys let me know, and we'll see what we can do about that, because that might be kind of funny, seeing him complain and bitch and moan about President Trump. Absolutely nuts. All right, so let me talk to you about Chapter. Chapter is one of the sponsors for today. Where is my chapter information? Here's my chapter information. Okay. For those of you like me, the day is coming when I'm turning 65 very soon. This is important. My Medicare advisors at Chapter are helping people cut through Medicare and the Medicare mess and save thousands of dollars. I'm turning 65 soon, and I'm getting bombarded with calls and ads, and it's a bit overwhelming. On top of that, I didn't know who to trust. There are a lot of scammers out there and selfish agents who push you into plans that make them more money. And all my worries went away when I spoke to my advisor at Chapter. These guys are the real deal. They're 100% not going to put you into something that you can't afford or don't want. They start by understanding your needs, not theirs. Then they compare every plan to find the one that saves you the most. On average, they save people about $1,100 a year. However, if cost cutting isn't what you're into, but you're like, I want the best coverage, they will find that for you as well, even if it, might be a couple more bucks. That's totally your call. These guys are totally honest, independent, which cannot be said about most people who are selling and trying to do stuff with Medicare. With one short and simple free phone call, you can feel confident in your Medicare coverage. There's no pressure, there's no nonsense, just clear, unbiased guidance, and it's completely free for the Fanfare family. You can just go ahead and make the call right there. Don't take chances with your health or your wallet. Get your free, no obligation Medicare advice from my friends at Chapter. Call them today at 475-328-3545, and you won't regret it. In fact, most people wish they'd called Chapter sooner. There's been a number of people here in the chat who've done that, who've actually called Chapter, and they feel like, wow, it was actually worthwhile. So again, that's 475-328-3545. All right, so wanted to show, before I get too far, I wanted to show you guys something, because I get a lot of people who ask me, and I just want to pull this up on the screen so you guys can see it. All right, so let me show you this. All right, a lot of people don't understand what's happening in the currency market and metals. This is really, really important for some people who may be on the fence, and I understand some people just aren't in a position to do any sort of investing whatsoever. However, I want to just show you this to give you an idea where things are headed. Look at today's gold price. Well, not today's, but over the last 12 months. Gold is not something that's going to get you a get-rich-quick thing. It's a buy and hold. It is a hedge. It's to make sure that your money is diversified, not just sitting in a bank. Over the last year, if you had bought gold last year at this time, you would be up 36%. You can do the math. $1,000, you'd be sitting on $1,360 after 1 year. The same thing can be said for silver. Over the last year, silver has risen nearly 39%, almost 40% in 1 year, and the projections are for these both to continue moving forward. So with that regard, if you're interested in either gold or silver, I urge you, I compel you, call the people at Lear Capital. They'll help you out. They'll get you in the right investment, and they'll, tailorize a purchase just for you. Understanding there are minimums. This isn't free, but they can help you out. All right.
It's genius. It's pure genius. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Why do so many financial experts call silver the most undervalued asset today? Because silver is essential to the future, from solar tech and electric vehicles to the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. Demand is rising fast, and yet silver is still trading at a bargain. With billions pouring into AI, silver prices have only one place to go, and that's up. In fact, silver may be the most overlooked asset class in financial planning. The opportunity for silver is well documented. The market for silver could double or even triple by 2026. You see, I believe in hard assets like this bar of silver. You can hold it in your hand, you can put it in your IRA, you can put it in your home safe, And relative to gold, it's very affordable. That's why I urge you to call my friends at Lear Capital and get their free report, The AI Revolution, and see why silver prices could be set to soar. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. But don't wait. We all know. We've seen it. The government can print lots and lots of dollars, but they can't print silver. All right, so yes, somebody in the chat had said, hey, Barry, I thought you had an interview at 2:30. I did, but because President Trump was talking, I didn't want to be rushed, so I pushed the interview back. He and I are going to do an off-show recording. We're going to record that interview, and we're going to show it tomorrow. So he and I have an appointment after this show is over. So I just want to let you know if we can watch a little bit of the Newsom stuff if you'd like. I should put up a poll and tell me, or you guys just tell me in the chat, and SB can see, do a lot of people want to see the stuff with Newsom? Reason why I would put Newsom on is because it's newsworthy. Newsom is newsworthy. Whatever he's going to say is going to be in the news. You might as well hear it and see it together and understand what's said, and then afterwards we can talk about it, or we can just laugh at the dude either way. But he's going to be on. It looks like they put up a notice of 8 minutes. So while he's doing that, what I'll do is take a few comments here. Bad weather again this afternoon, so I can look like a poodle head. I don't know where that is. What is Noodle? What is Newsom going to be talking about? Newsom is going to be talking about basically the counterpunch to what Texas is doing. After spending 2 weeks yelling that Texas is beating democracy, they're attacking democracy. Newsom has already been attacking democracy, and I guess he's going to do more attacks. Make it make sense. People are like, no, yes, okay. Yeah, there's more people that said it's painful to watch him. It is painful to watch him. No, not interested in watching that. I can only stomach news. See, that's what I was thinking. If we heard the news at this point, we could like listen and talk amongst ourselves. But in any event, before he comes on, and maybe I will or maybe I won't, or maybe I got my own news right here. Wait a minute, what is this? If I buy physical gold, are the shipments guaranteed? What you talking about, Willis? Yes. If you buy something, you are going to get something. Yes, they are guaranteed to show up at your door. Trust me. Personal experience. And it's going to come by FedEx. And make sure your wife is home because it might end up being heavy depending on what you end up buying. So, in that regard, all right, let's go. Let me go ahead with what I was talking about earlier when I had started talking about CNN and how some of the, how can you say this, the not trying to be racist, but some of the media is starting to realize what's going on, and the other part of the media, well, they're still kind of stuck. But I showed you Al Sharpton, and I'm going to rewind and start this CNN piece all over again.
With police. And I don't have a problem tactically with what Donald Trump is doing here. He doesn't have to be the most dangerous place on earth. Something can be improving, but still really bad. If your house is on fire and then a third of the fire goes out, it's less bad, but it could still be an emergency. I work in D.C. It is dangerous there. You cannot deny that. And a common police tactic.
Did you hear the groan? The groan from the people on the set? Yes, you can't deny it. I would have loved if they had pulled back and let us see the people who were indeed groaning. I would almost bet $1 a donut here that the people who were groaning saying it wasn't true were of a darker complexion. Sorry, it's not being racist, it's being a realist.
Is to surge resources. I've been we call them task forces. They're applauded across the board, across the political board. I've done it in New Jersey. I've done it in New York. You take the FBI, you team them up with the Newark PD, what have you. You make a visible presence. Now, is some of it for appearance and show? Yes, because what it does is A, it assures people. It gives people a bit of confidence and security, and B, it deters people from committing crimes. So it's not going to hurt, and this is a situation that needs to be improved. I don't see.
See, that's one of the problems that the people who are against this don't understand. It doesn't hurt anything. Tell me, raise your hand if showing a higher police presence in an area hurts something. What is the downside of having more police in an area? Nobody's going to tell you because it doesn't exist. They can't even understand what they're talking about. Every time you go to a football game, anytime you go to any sort of public event, a concert, a festival, there's cops everywhere. What are they there for? To make sure the knuckleheads don't do something stupid. They're everywhere. Robin and I are going to the Dolphins sorry, yeah, we're going to go. Dolphins exhibition game on 23rd, I think it is. I guarantee you it'll be like Rambo security. There'll be police all over the stadium. There'll be police in the stadium. There'll be police outside the stadium. There'll be police in the parking lot. Why? Just because. And nobody has a problem. I'm sure many of you have been to concerts and football games and baseball games, and you walk by the clusters of officers. You don't have a problem. You've seen the towers in the parking lot. Forget that. You've done Christmas shopping. And if you go to a mall that has any sort of good management, they've got cops in the parking lot. So why are the people having a problem with this? Because Trump did it? That's the only thing they could have a problem with. Every single one of us wants to be safe when we go someplace.
Why there's a problem, and I also reject the January 6th. Look, I've been a 100% unambiguous critic of everything Donald Trump did on January 6th. I believe he should have been charged criminally. I believe the pardons were a disgrace. But why does that mean he can't do anything now to enforce the law to promote public safety?
I think it raises questions about the
Sure,
sincerity.
he's a hypocrite. Fine, he's a hypocrite.
But this is all political theater. None of this is fundamentally address the crime problem in D.C.
Would you rather...
Wait a second. It's political theater is what the black guy is saying, and none of this is going to address the crime problem in Washington, D.C. They really think that, or is he just posturing? Because obviously it's going to work on the crime problem because you remove the bad guys. It's that simple. But if this gentleman was correct, he should have come back and say, what exactly is the cause? What's the root cause of the problem inside these inner cities? Because when you say that, at that point, they're done. They won't have an answer. At least not an answer that makes sense. They'll talk about it's racist and they need more money, need more programs. Well, shut up. Being poor does not make you a criminal. You make yourself a criminal. So what exactly is the root cause? They won't admit that because we all know the answer. We all know the answer, but for some reason, you're not allowed to talk about that in the media and in some of the black communities.
Would you rather have national security out in D.C. where you work?
How about bolstering local police and instead congressional Republicans cut the D.C. budget by $1 billion?
The police union says he's right.
Cutting the D.C. budget by $1 billion undermines local police.
The police union says he's right. Are you saying the union is wrong?
Right on what?
The police union came out on this action by the president and said, we wholeheartedly support the president. We need the support. Are they right or wrong?
Then bolster local police.
The police
but it's not
union
the function
said
of the FBI.
Is right,
the FBI has to deal with counterterrorism, counterintelligence.
Can't answer it. He caught him. If the police say this is a good thing, what are you thinking? Huh? He actually caught him. He had to swallow deep real quick. Yeah. You got nothing. That's what I'm telling you. They have nothing to respond. They're used to the bumper stickers. And then when you ask them, directly, what do they say? By the way, I don't know if that guy knows that the DEI police chief this morning said that they're going to actually support the ICE removals. So I don't know what you're going to do about that, bro. What you're hearing in noise in the background is the loudness of the Gavin Newsom thing.
So you're against the federal law?
That's not true. Let me say, that's not true. I've heard that said a lot by the FBI does street operations. People say the FBI, they're chasing terrorists.
Removing homeless encampments?
Hold on. I work...
Sanitation?
Hang on. I worked with the FBI. The FBI does street rips. They do drug buys. They do gun buys. It's part of what they do. It's not a misuse of the FBI.
No, but I think to his point, he's asking, what we're seeing in D.C. is FBI, Border Patrol, they're doing traffic stops. They are clearing homeless encampments. I mean, those types of
But
things.
also, what
In
cost? We
addition
don't know
to
the
it.
cost. Where are they
Yeah.
being?
No, I mean, that's a fair argument, but these
That's
are
fair.
just...
I mean, that's an essential question to ask.
Yes, I'm saying, look, it's a fair question, but the decision makers get to make this decision. I mean, where's the chief of the Metro PD? Where's the mayor? If they disagree with this, if they thought this was so illegal, unwarranted, inappropriate, why have they not challenged it? Why have they not? They've challenged it rhetorically, but they haven't gone to court
Well, I
on
mean,
it.
they have.
Because there's no way to challenge it. Everybody, again, everybody wants to be safe. It is a complete losing argument, and now you've got people in studio not liking what their associates are saying. They don't like the fact that they're being boxed into a corner, because now you can actually see it is a black-white issue for some reason. I don't know why the black media and the white media are at odds with this. It makes no sense. Yes, they want to feel safe.
Answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay, there's nothing to see here, move along, move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll at late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem.
Okay, so you got that poll, Joe Scarborough, not a fan of the president whatsoever, MSNBC host, says that 91% of the people say, yeah, we got a problem here. How in the hell can you go on television and look in a camera and start berating the people next to you going, this isn't what we should be doing? You know, he's coming in. Somebody needs to do something if 90% of the people feel like there's a problem.
91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. And John Heilman, we've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. So wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among the lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried.
What's that tell you? The white liberals, the white elite liberals are like, there's not a problem. There's no one coming in my neighborhood. I know there's a security guard out front and there's a doorman over here. It's all good where I live. But the poor people, you're ignoring what they need. When they say Trump's being racist, they're being racist. Because they're not willing to look outside of their own rose-colored areas. It's fine here. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine here. Great Poupon, please. No, what about over here? What about over here, the people that you protest for? How are they living? They're living in fear while you eat Grey Poupon and sip champagne.
About crime than white residents and those with higher incomes. As they were last year, black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same thing last year.
82, 65, 91, the numbers are overwhelming. Pretty soon you're going to hear the media stop talking about it. Because in order for them to address it, they'd have to talk about stuff that people don't want to hear. And now, President Trump, you don't think he has all this data? You don't think he knew going in that people want this? Yeah, we're going to catch some flack from the media, but you know what? They're pretty much going to stop pretty quick because what they're saying doesn't make any sense. And because what they're saying doesn't make any sense, you have to wonder, as people watching this play out, you have to wonder why they're saying it. Is it simply reflex? We hate Trump. Everything Trump does, no good. I think it's more. I think they know much more than the people who live there. I think the people realize this can be fixed relatively easy. I think the Democrats and the elitists know there's more to come. And I pointed out some of that stuff yesterday. And the more I see the pushback, the more I realize, yeah, they know it's coming. They know that this is going to spread. They're trying to stop it. It's going to spread to Baltimore, to Detroit, Chicago. And they feel if they can stop it here and get enough opposition, they can nip this in the bud instead of allowing people to be safe in other areas. That's their worst nightmare. I put up a video earlier. It was taken in the Kensington area of Philadelphia, the zombie world. I mean, literally, I couldn't. They won't let me post it here. So go to my profile on X, and you will see it. And the people just in the street looking like complete zombies. They're just deadpan, and they don't want people to see it. They won't let me post it here. Make that make sense. Why you don't want people seeing these things in the inner city? Because all they are voting farms. And they got to keep the voting farms because that's the entirety of their ability to win anything. If they lose the inner cities, they're done. And they absolutely know it.
D.C. has been, with all due respect to our nation's capital, a shithole for a long time. You know, it reminds me of the old LaGuardia Airport. That became so ghettoized and so grim and dark and melancholy that you get used to it. Remember, these are citizen soldiers, the Guard. In broad strokes, I agree that the military should not be deployed for a law enforcement purpose. But these people, the Guard, the citizen soldiers, are there for a different reason. They're there to calm people down and to also project a presence. You see a couple of guardsmen, even if they don't have their long guns, and they don't, thank God, have them as they are deployed, they're there, or they're there in a support function. The cops and they are the same, on the same team. And I started covering homelessness in D.C. more than 35 years ago, a guy named Mitch Snyder. Mitch did everything he could to attract attention, even including a fast, where ultimately he almost killed himself because he went on a starvation fast. Because they wanted to get things done. Right. So jump cut 35 years forward, and if anything, it is worse than ever.
35 years forward, and it's worse than ever. 35. This is from a guy like Geraldo, who we all know can be kind of kooky, but he has been a reporter for decades. Yep, we all see it. So why do you want these people the same way that you've always wanted them? Because you have to protect the mindset. You have to keep these people prisoner. You can't let them know that things could be safe. You can't let them know that they have options and they can be part of, the society. Imagine if you didn't have to go to the store and have to get someone to unlock the cabinet so you could buy a hairbrush. Imagine if you could go to the store and you could go to the makeup counter and look at the different kinds of makeup. The stuff that you and I do that we probably take for granted. We're like, oh, hey, there's a new phone. There's a new phone. Yeah, they can't touch it. That's prison. If you ever have the unfortunate opportunity to go into a CVS or Walgreens in the hood, it's a whole different experience. And you're in there and like, what the hell is this? Hey, I'd like to, get this thing here. Oh, hold on. Aisle 7, please. Can somebody with a key come by? So I can't even hold it? And then when they get it for you, they don't give it to you. Oh, we'll bring it up to the counter. So it's never getting in your hands. And if I'm shocking some of you, that's how it is. That's how these people live. And in California, where this idiot's about to talk, they can steal up to $950 and you can't charge them. And if you're a security guard and you try to stop somebody from stealing, you go to jail. So they've done everything possible to keep these communities at bay, to make sure that they are under the auspices of the local government to do whatever you want. Your food's dependent on being good, because you know what? Don't let me stop you from your EBTs, your freedom, Everything. They control every aspect of these people's lives. Every single time that they do something, it's to keep, and I hate just keep saying black people, but I'd say poor people. If you look at, somebody posted the link, if you put in Kensington, Philadelphia, just go ahead and do it. They won't let me do it here. They've already given me a warning. But if you do it, there's a couple of videos up about Kensington. And as you look at, I was going to show it to you today. If you look at the videos about Kensington, Pennsylvania, I would like any of you who have seen these videos to tell me why the hell would they allow that to be like that? Everybody knows. You'll see the video. You could drive there right now. Many people who are content creators just go to Kensington so they can show it on their videos. Dude, you're not going to believe this. Look at these zombies. It's not like it's one person. It's not like it's, it's the whole, they're all over the place. Why? Why is Josh Shapiro not gone in and said, hey, we can't have this. We can't have these people defecating. We can't have these people being zombies. We can't have these women completely, what, doing whatever they need to get the next. We can't have this here. This is my city. This is my state. But they let it happen. And they know you can see it. That's the worst part. They know that you can see it. And because you can see it, you would think that they'd be ashamed of it. Not at all. They don't effing care. Because if you cared, it would be very easy to stop. That whole area could be revitalized. All the real estate could be remodeled. It could be a thriving area, but now it's a human dump. It is a human dump. These are the people we don't need anymore. So just let them, do what they need to do. They're out of the way. They're in a different part of town. Don't even bother going because that's our human dump. It's disgusting. Yeah. Josh Shapiro is a deep state puppet. Yeah. But if you look at those people, you have to wonder why. All right. So I guess SB said it's like 50-50 and they do the drugs out. Yeah, that's the other thing. They do the drugs right out in the open. Nobody stops them. That's control. That's absolutely control. So he's not up yet. They've got all kinds of other speakers, and I'm not interested in hearing them. So forget it. Let's see. Barry, I'm in Kern County, which is north of LA. Everything is locked up because the hood is heading this way. Yeah. If you haven't lived like that, which most of you probably haven't, you're probably saying that it can't be that bad. Yeah, it is. Yeah. In fact, you know what? I may go do a video. I may go ahead and go into the hood because nobody bothers me, and I can just take the video and show you. You can't buy nothing. Cough syrup? Nothing. It's all under lock and key when the guy comes out and he said, and some of you who don't live that way are probably like, huh? Yeah, exactly. Question from David says, can we fix it? Absolutely it can be fixed. There's no doubt it can be fixed. These are humans. We look at them sometimes as animals, but it can be fixed. And the way you fix it is what Trump's doing right now. You crack down on them. No, this is no longer acceptable. That's the first thing. People need to be taught, you can't do this anymore. What do you mean? Not here. You are not allowed in this store the way you look. All kinds of things. You can stop them. No. I saw one thing. There was a store that said, I think I played it the other day. You can't even go into the store unless you're with an adult. So it keeps these knuckleheads out. Oh, Barry, that's oppressive. For them, not for the people who want to shop. So yeah, it's going to take some serious, tough love. There's no way that, and by doing that, it basically takes away the Democrat ideology where you can do anything you want anywhere. That's not how living is. There's rules. There are rules that all of us follow, even so much as I talked the other day, sitting at a red light that tells you when you can go and when you can't go. And so many of the things that you guys take for granted, These animals were never taught. And I say that with understanding the words I just used. They were never taught. And because they were never taught, it's like having a dog that you don't train. If you don't train the dog, it's going to poop all over the place. It's going to be vicious. It's going to bite people. Versus that guy who's sitting there like that sleeping, my little Mexican. He's passed out, completely passed out. All right, so we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not sure we do the Newsom thing. Let me do one more story, and then we'll move on from there. Yeah. All right. Some of you probably won't like this. Let me just tell you, a lot of you, from what I've seen in the comments, may not like this. You may not like this because it's stinging. You may not like this because it makes you open your eyes and realize that we are in a society where not everybody, different from what Kamala said, not everybody is in the same place, nor do they end up in the same place. But it doesn't mean you can't get to that place other people are in. And this is the problem that we're having in New York City right now and with a lot of young people. Listen to this.
In America, we have, some of you may know, a life expectancy on average, how long we live, which is lower than many other countries. What you don't know is that if you're working class in America, you will live 7 years shorter life than if you are wealthy.
See, the problem I had, and I posted this earlier, nice statement, Bernie, nice statement. Define wealthy. How would you define wealthy? I guarantee you, if people in the chat began to define wealthy, you would see a myriad of responses, a whole lot of different responses. And so it's such a wide-ranging subjective term, people get caught up in it. Oh, they're wealthy. You're not. Well, what you think is wealthy and what I think is wealthy might be completely different. I've seen wealth of an unbelievable scale. I told you, my boss. But at the same time, I remember a conversation with him. And this will like blow you away. This guy's a billionaire, own jet, everything that he's got. And he was looking to buy the Miami Dolphins, which I've told you. And then I said, what about, would you want to buy that or this? And he looked me in the eye and he goes, who do you think I am? Think I'm Warren Buffett? And I went, oh my God. Even people in that situation know there's somebody else up the ladder. And so if you asked him, hey, listen, do you think you're wealthy? He probably would have said, yeah, I got money, but I ain't got that kind of money. So when you define wealth and you try to tell people in an audience, yeah, the wealthy are doing this, do they not realize they're staring at a wealthy guy? It's not like you telling people, yeah, the wealthy live 7 years longer than you. I'm like, well, Bernie, you're 86 and you got money, so you one of those wealthy guys? But you're not supposed to notice that it's Bernie Sanders. You're not supposed to notice that it's multi-millionaire Bernie Sanders, who long ago decided that communism and Marxism was for these people. I'm going to go enjoy me some capitalism. I'm going to sell books. I'm going to buy real estate. I'm going to do all the things that you people that I'm talking to will never do. So that's the first instance when you're sitting in the audience. I'm like, dude, you're wealthy. Well, I'm not wealthy. I got a couple houses and I wrote some books and I'm good. No, to the people you're talking to, you're wealthy, and so if you're gonna live 7 years beyond what they're gonna live. They're looking at you at 86, and so I got 78 and 79 booked. I'm good with that. They don't even realize that this guy is talking crap to them.
Why is that? What's the word? All right, you got it. Talk to me about what stress means for an average person in America or in Mingo County. What does that mean? What does life mean when you're dealing with stress every day? Who wants?
Do rich people not have stress? Do wealthy people not have stress? I mean, they're two different categories, rich and wealthy. I didn't know that stress was just designed to be on poor people. We all endure stress. Not all of it's financial. Some of us have bad kids. Some of us have bad business. Some of us have bad health. Some of us have a bad marriage. There's no price tag on that. So notice he's so smooth by telling people, it's like they don't have stress. You're the ones who got stress. When every single person in some way, shape, or form has stress. I thought I was doing fine. My sister, I get a call from one of my other sisters and said, hey, this sister, she may not make it. Oh, instant stress. Hey, mom's not doing well. Oh, looks like she's not going to make it. Instant stress. But don't listen to Bernie because he's telling you it's not like that for rich people.
To answer that.
For a lot of people in Appalachia with children who work full-time, having to worry about being able to make enough money and afford things, pay our bills. A lot of times it's choosing between paying a bill or having food in the cabinet or the refrigerator. So that's
all right, so I'm going to back it up. Because this woman's talking to Bernie and she's talking about choices. Right? She's talking about a choice that now sometimes she has to make whether or not, whether I should pay this bill or whether I should feed my family. Well, number one, that should never be a choice. Never. Ever, ever would there come a time when my choice would be, do I pay this bill or do I feed my family? Because this one is always going to win. There is no choice. I have to feed my family. I have to feed my kids. I have to feed my wife. I even got to feed the little Mexican over there. There's no choice. The choice was what you did before you had the kid. That was your choice. Your choice was the route in life that you chose. You chose. Nobody told you you couldn't do this or that. You chose to do this and that. I know, that's why I told you this was going to be harsh on some people, is because I am never going to be that person who says you're stuck and this is where you are. You're there, wherever it is, because of choices you made. And everybody who's in a bad situation, or anyone who's ever been in a bad situation, always looks to go this way. It's because of this guy. It's because this guy fired me. It's because I had a drinking problem. It's because my dad treated me badly. It's because my husband treated... No. It's because of you. It was because of me. It was because of choices I made. All of these things that bring you to a different position in life are based upon choices you make. Maybe you didn't choose to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you didn't choose to take this path in life and take this job. Maybe you didn't choose to understand what you needed to be successful. Nobody told you you had to take which fork in the road. So in this particular woman, who now is older with a kid she says she can't basically afford. So now, right now, instead of saying, what's my next choice? It's somebody else's fault. I can't feed my kids. I can't put them in daycare. I can't do this. I can't do that.
it's really stressful. And stuff like that, stress, it affects your health, and then you don't have health care. And then you have nobody to fall back on because your parents are probably still working.
Your lifeline is always your family. Many of us have had to lean on our family over and over and over again. but it's not a lifestyle choice. It's not something hey, you know what? I'm not doing well right now. Let me go ahead and hit up Dad, Mom, Uncle Charlie, whatever. No, those are still your choices. And unless you were in a car accident or something happened to you, you automatically just got sick or something, these choices to me should be dictated sort of like a hurricane warning. Like right now, we're watching Tropical Storm Erin out in the ocean. And they're like, hey, there's a storm coming. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Okay, still got some time before we figure out what to do. You'll hear me talk about it. Over the next couple of days, I'm like, hey, the storm's taking a path towards South Florida or not. And then when it gets closer, hey, sorry, storm's coming. But as of right now, we watch and we say, hey, honey, looks like there's a storm out there. All right, let's just keep an eye on it because it's not going to sneak up on me. I know it's coming. This woman and many like her, the storm doesn't sneak up on you. Again, unless there's an accident or something. It doesn't sneak up on you. You know, wow, I've just had a child. Yeah. What do you think you're going to need over the next few years, honey? Because it's easy. Like, well, I'm going to have to feed this thing. I'm going to have to buy this thing some clothes. I'm going to have to clean its butt. I'm going to have to. You know it's coming. So what choices did you make to say, I'm stuck right now, Mom and Dad, I need a hand, but you know, by the time it's 2 years old, we're going to be good because I'm making plans right now to make sure little Johnny is taken care of. But that's not what these people do. They let the storm hit the house and don't even take any precautions. So it's hard for me. I don't know what she went through in life, but I do know she made choices because she just told us.
If you're from here, and then childcare is ridiculously expensive, even with help and assistance, it's very stressful.
Of course it's very stressful because by the time the storm hits, it's like, oh my God, OMG, they just blew off our roof and it broke the windows because we didn't put up the storm shutters. And so what you have to think in your life is, do you have storm shutters in the garage? Do you have these things in place just in case? Because if you don't, it's too late when it hits. I understand it's a hard pill for many people to swallow because the reason why it's hard to swallow is because it requires self-inspection, introspection. You have to go, yeah, I shouldn't have got drunk that night. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that with that girl. You have to do that. You have to look in the mirror and go, that was me. And then once it happens, now you got to go, how do I fix the roof? What do I do? Well, because then it's already happened. Listen.
Superintelligence is where things could get really nutty. And we're already starting, and that's where like the doomsday scenarios, Terminator ones kind of come out of that group. So what happens if, all drivers go away? Well, every self-driving car is 4 full-time jobs, and every humanoid robot in a factory is 5 jobs, maybe.
All right, so I just told you about what do you do if the storm is coming. So I'm telling you right now, it's coming. And I'm not talking about the political storm that we all see coming, but a storm is coming, and it's coming for you. And if you know it's offshore right now, you have to look yourself in the mirror and go, what in the hell am I going to do? How am I going to get prepared? Where do I get the shutters? How much are the shutters going to cost? Who's going to put them up? How long do they stay up? When do I take them down? When I take them down, where do I put them? Using, a little bit of an ideology there. Ideology? Yeah, whatever. Because the next storm that's coming, that people aren't being prepared of because they say they're worried or they're afraid of it, you can't run away from it. You cannot run away from this storm no matter what economic status you're in. You're either going to do something about it or you're going to get consumed by it. That, again, choices. I'm not going to do anything. I'm afraid of it. Okay. Well, guess what? The AI beast out there that people are saying, it's not going to wait. This is some compelling stuff.
6, because those jobs you can work for maybe 7 hours as a just physical limitation. As humans, we're driving, you can work a 12-hour shift. And those are going to be here, folks. And before 2030, you're going to see Amazon, which has massively invested in this, replace all factory workers and all drivers.
Amazon, and I'm sure he's going to mention UPS, FedEx, anything with a warehouse, they're done. They are completely done. You work in a warehouse right now? You do anything in terms of moving boxes here or there? Do you drive? Are you a truck driver? I'm not saying long haul, those big trucks. I don't think AI is going to take that. But what are you going to do as this storm is now swirling out around the corner and this storm is catching speed and it's coming and he just said 2030. I'm checking my calendar here. It's 2025. You got 5 years. And I think that's wrong because the more it accelerates, the tougher it's going to be. It may accelerate itself to where it's like, hey, we've been doing well here. It's 3 years. Don't wait on this thing because it could change course, pick up speed. We've seen hurricanes do that. Hey, it's only going about 10 miles an hour. Whoa, now it's up to 140 miles an hour. Oh, it's coming hard. AI is coming at you. And it's a Cat 1 right now, maybe Cat 2, but it's got to be a Cat 5 for people who aren't prepared. And like people in that audience with Bernie, I don't know what to do, and this, you're done. If you wait until this storm hits, you're absolutely done.
The idea that when you order something from Amazon, a human would touch it at any point in that supply chain is insane. It will be 100%, robotic, which means all of those workers are going away.
All of them. Well, what are they going to do? Well, I don't know these people. I mean, I saw this from Radio Nut. Radio Net says, what about those of us who are doing everything we can, busting our butts, finding we can't feed our family, even those of us who have got 2 or 3 jobs? Those are the type of questions that people need to be asking. Not going to a Bernie rally. Because right now, that question you just asked, I can't answer for you because I don't know what your skill set is. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you do. But that's the kind of thing now that you need to be going to speak to somebody vocationally and saying, all right, I understand what I'm going to do is going to be replaced. I also understand what I'm doing now isn't cutting it for me. Because he just said, I'm working 2 jobs, barely trying to get my family fed. So if you have those two bits of knowledge, 1, what I'm doing right now isn't working for me, and 2, I am at really big danger at XYZ age of being completely made irrelevant and not having no future. There are people driving right now for UPS, FedEx, Amazon who are making good money, not realizing what's about to hit them. And so the answer to the question is, you're going to have to find out something that upgrades you into what this new economy is going to be like. And you're going to have to look at all kinds of analysis, and you're going to have to spend even more time at this point learning. I know that's a daunting task. It's like, wait a second, I'm already working 2 jobs, and I'm barely feeding my family, paying my bills, and now you're telling me I better learn? Yeah. Because if you can foresee that what you do can be replaced by software and a robot, you're done. And if it's tough love hearing it, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to bring the information to you.
Every Amazon worker, all those jobs, UPS, gone, FedEx, gone. All of those are going to be gone, and those companies will be more profitable. And when you order something, it's going to come faster and cheaper and better. And your Uber will be half as much. But somebody needs to retrain these people. And that's actually
And that's it. You're going to have to train yourself for the jobs of 2028 and 2030. These people in the hood, they don't even know it's coming. Sorry, slinging rock. You get robots to sling the rock. I don't know what they're going to do. We're going to have a whole entire class of people who are like, sorry, we got to let you go. Why? Because this robot here can do what you do, and he doesn't call in sick or bitch at me. I don't even have to pay it any insurance. And I don't have to feed it. I don't have to give it food stamps. I don't have to give it, anything. Bus pass. I turn him off at night when I come in. Never mind, turn him off at night. He works 24/7. He doesn't get tired. Doesn't complain about a living wage. And I know some people are like, well, how much profit does a company have to make? Well, if you're one of their shareholders, you make as much as you possibly can. That's why I'm buying the stock. I wouldn't be buying the stock for them to go out and just give it away to people. If somebody came with a business plan and said, listen, our annual profits are going to go up by 25-30% once we replace 25 or 30% of the workforce with robots. Hey, here's some money. The people investing are investing because they want profits. The company is like, I can become more profitable by getting rid of this dead weight and just using Rosie the Riveter. And Rosie just doesn't care. She just shows up every single day. So your ability to see this storm coming means you need to take action. You cannot just wait until it's at your doorstep. And each person's action plan is according to their skill level. Which means if you don't have the skills, you got to learn it.
very valid fear that technologists will tell somebody like you, don't worry about it. There'll just be more jobs created. Yeah. The question is, what happens to those people who get caught in the gap, right? And when we had this happen in the Industrial Revolution, that happened over 40 years, 50 years. And, you know, the agricultural revolution, you know, again, that was multi-decades. This one will happen in a decade. And so it would be very different. And, yeah, you should be concerned.
It's coming. Like you said, the industrial age with airplane, you know, people, used to be horse and buggies, and all of a sudden, you know, there was an automobile, and all the people who made buggy whips are gone. I referenced that movie before. I bet you it was other people's money. I bet you the last buggy whip company that went out of business was the best damn buggy whip company in the market. But then, didn't matter, they were gone. You guys remember a company called Brother? Brother made some of the best fax machines and stuff like that. How about Blockbuster? Hey, we can get tapes. We can bring in tapes here. You're going to give us a movie and we can go ahead and take this home and watch it. I don't have to go to the movie theater. Yeah, and I just got this contraption called a VCR where I can just plug the thing in and it would play the tape. All of that entire product line is gone. There is no Blockbuster, there is no videotape, and there's no VCR. They're all gone. Somebody used to make one hell of a VCR. Somebody used to make, you know, one hell of a cassette tape. Gone, 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 gone. So you've lived it. You weren't paying attention because it didn't really matter to you. But you lived it. And because you've lived it, you have the knowledge right now of going, this is what happens when things progress. We no longer have fax machines except for, I guess, doctors' offices. We don't have videotapes. Many of us don't even have, what do you call them, DVDs anymore. So everything is online. Everything you do now is you download, you stream, you're watching this. This didn't exist a short time ago. And so you have to understand, I think Dave Rubin, he took the month of August off, and he's running a AI-based video system while he's gone. He's not even there. Hey, you can't tell the difference. Unfortunately, it'd be kind of hard to clone me, so you'd probably know if I wasn't here. And so those of you in the chat who hopefully aren't getting mad at me and realizing, what do I do? At least start thinking about it. At least you now know the storm is coming. But before we go, let me finish off this stuff we're talking about. and understanding how the Democrats have ruined these people's minds. Listen to this.
Affordability is this number one issue in New York. It's the number one issue in the country. And so he has done a great job of identifying that issue and articulating that issue. The question is how you attack that issue. And what I'm asking you is whether you agree with the solutions that he's offering.
That he is talking about is Mandami up in New York City, who keeps saying, and he's got so many Democrats behind him right now, and these Democrats are basically getting into a horse and buggy. They are acquiescing, or not, all getting together at this point to get behind this guy whose plan cannot work. It is literally a fax machine. And that's what he's saying. He was like, how? What are you going to do? Okay, here's his answer.
Here's what my solution would be. And I've said this directly to him, and will continue to say it to policymakers across the city, the state, and the country. We have a situation in New York City and across America where the demand for housing that is affordable greatly exceeds the supply.
So I got one question again, like the question I would have had to Bernie. Bernie, can you tell me what's wealthy? So the next question I would have asked Hakeem is, can you define affordable? You guys throw these words around, but you never have any definition for it. Because, as I said, what's affordable for Fred, and what's affordable for Jane, and what's affordable for me are going to be three different answers. So if you take that across millions of people, define affordable. Nobody answers that. Nobody understands. Here comes another storm, and you're getting into this horse and buggy because you think it makes sense to people when people don't have any idea what you're talking about. What is affordable? How do you define affordable? Listen to this. Some of you guys may have seen this.
Okay, so how is everyone buying a house right now? Because I just got off maybe one of the most humbling phone calls of my life, and I got quoted a 6.5% mortgage rate. Mind you, I do have an 808 credit score. I have zero debt. I'm also a registered nurse, so, I mean, in the state of Florida, which I work in, it's not great income.
All right, she says, let's take her at her word. She says she has a 800 plus credit score. She says she's a registered nurse. If you look up right now in Google, registered nurse in the state of Florida. Not sure if she's South Florida or North Florida, but let's get an average. A registered nurse here in South Florida, I looked it up, makes about 70 to 80 grand a year. 70,000 to 80 grand a year. It's pretty good. Pretty good for a single woman with, as she said, no debt. So everything that she has is strong income. I make 80 grand a year. Great. Good for you. Love it. You make $80,000 a year. If she's telling the truth, you guys can go check, because this is very important. If she's telling the truth, let's go on the low end. She makes $70,000 a year. Let's undercut that and say she works in, I don't know, the Panhandle, a little bit cheaper area. Let's say she makes 60 grand. If she makes $60,000, that means she's bringing home, or not bringing home because, the taxes, but she's, grossing $5,000 a month. Okay, I'm pretty sure that lady in Appalachia with the baby would say $5,000 a month. You're rich. At least you're wealthy. So she's making $5,000 a month with no debt and an 800 credit score. Okay, not bad. Not bad. You qualified for a mortgage. They told you it was 6.5%, so you got a mortgage. Now, I reverse engineered this. You can go do it yourself. Someone with no debt making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. Put her in a 20, 30% tax bracket and take that off, and she's probably walking home out the door after taxes, assuming she doesn't know how to do any tax breaks, she's walking out the door with probably a minimum of $3,500 a month. Bank, in the pocket. And she just said she can't afford a house. Now, if they say, let's listen to the rest of what she said. Understanding that she probably banks in her pocket $3,500 a month.
Let's be real. But yeah, I'm also single, so one income. How am I supposed to buy a house with a mortgage rate that high? One mortgage payment would be more than one of my paychecks. So.
All right, caught you, liar. So we just went through it, right? Right. We just started looking at it. And so if she's making $5,000 a month, let's say it's $1,200 a week. Yeah, $1,200. Yeah, right. $1,250. And she's saying at 6.5%, the mortgage she would get would be more than her paycheck. But you got no other debt, right? Yeah. So you're making $6,000, $7,000 a month, and you're bitching about having to pay a little bit more than 1 week's paycheck. Okay. You guys can go do the math and work backwards and find out what size house she was looking at. Because when you look at what she probably was trying to price herself into, that's why I said at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's
champagne taste and beer budget. She's in a much better position than the other woman who has the kid and has to figure out how she's going to eat. And so I'm bringing this back to the fact of it's about choices. You're a young woman, you look to be 27, 28 maybe. You're making 60, 70, 80 grand a year. And now you find out that the mortgage payment that you're looking to get is more than a week of what more than a month. So she's saying that wait. Not a week. See, I was giving her the benefit. Did she just say the mortgage would be more than what she makes in a month? Hold on. Then we got a whole different problem.
But yeah, I'm also single, so one income. How am I supposed to buy a house with a mortgage rate that high? One mortgage payment would be more than one of my paychecks. So.
All right, so it was weekly. Okay, so it wasn't the monthly. All right. You can go into an amortization table and work backwards and figure out what she could afford. So right now, she is basically in the same position as the woman at Bernie's rally. She has a choice to make. Where do I live versus what I can afford? And I don't think there's many people in here are going to look at this and go, I feel sorry for her. She's single. She's pretty. She makes 60 or 70 grand a year. What's the problem? What do you mean? What's affordable? Affordable housing versus it means what you can afford. See, that's what the Democrats don't say, and that's what they don't teach people. Affordable housing means what can you personally afford, not what you want. And until we get people to understand that, yeah, you have to live in this box. It's fun to look at the nice, pretty magazines with all the giant, houses, or drive up the beach and go, whoo, look at those houses. That's not where you're going to live, unless you hook a really rich guy or something. Right now, you need to look over here, maybe downtown, in a 1-1 condo that you will own. And I'm positive you can afford one. I don't even have any doubt that you could afford one. You have to stop looking and realizing I need affordable housing and understand the word affordable means what you can afford, not what you want. Until people, especially young people, realize that, hey, boomers ruined everything. No, we knew that 30 years ago. We had the same thing. We walked around and went, wow, that's a nice big old house. Look how much that, I can't afford that. There's no affordable housing. Yeah, there is. You just can't afford it. Make the right choice. I wish when I was her age, I wish when I was 23 or 24 that I had bought a starter home. I regret that to this day. Everything I've learned about real estate, I'm like, man, I should have bought that little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that back then was like $38,000 or $39,000. Because some of my friends bought one, and then they kept buying, and they kept buying. And that's when I started getting into real estate. I'm like, I need to get in here. So I'm just telling you right now, at 3:20 p.m., the storm's coming. The storm is absolutely coming. The only question that remains is, what are you going to do about it? And you can't sit there and make a TikTok video and complain it's not fair. Yeah, type in, you're right there, Celtic Fiddle. She's a registered nurse, so she's got a skill set that's in demand anywhere. And so she can say, hey, listen, I can only afford this much of a house. Oh, I'd like to live next to the beach. I'd like to live on a lakeside. No, ain't gonna happen. It's beyond what you can afford. Maybe one day, if you make the right decision now. But yeah, you're not stuck in one area. Maybe you need to go work in, I don't know, Tennessee, Iowa. Someplace where you can afford. Your skill set is there. You're a nurse. My first house was $37,000, new build. Wow. Yeah, you can eventually get there. My thing is, I never want people to think that they can't do it. I'm sure she left out the price of the house she would like to have. Yeah. If you were here, I could take you to an area right now, and I'd be like, I want to live there. And if you call the phone or hit the thing and look at it, and it says, oh yeah, it's 15 million. Get your feelings hurt really quick. I'm gonna go look over here. Okay. Are all these 15 million? No, that one's 20. Oh. Okay. Have you guys ever been to South Florida? If you've never been to South Florida, I urge you to take a boat ride. You can take a very inexpensive boat ride by taking this thing called the water taxi down here in Fort Lauderdale. And the water taxi takes you through the intercoastal, and as you're going through the intercoastal, you sit there and go, oh my God. Do people really live like this? What do they do? There's a good question. What do these people do? What have they done? How'd they get this stuff? What is it, a boomer? I keep hearing that. Well, instead of saying that, just say, okay, I need to make this much money to live where I want to live. And then understand, it's not in the cards. I love going over there. It's so motivating. I used to make a lot of videos over there, and I would take the videos and use them as backdrops, and the boats are going back and forth. And then I realized, that ain't gonna happen unless you hit the lottery. 3 times, 4 times. One lottery ain't gonna make it for you. But then you realize you live where you can afford. I'm very happy with where we live. We're getting ready to move now. We were in one community and going to another gated community in a larger house because that's what we can afford. But it all goes back to your definition of affordable. I can't afford, and I have no embarrassment saying I can't move into that $20 million house on the beach. Nope, can't do it. Honey, I know it looks nice, ain't in the cards. Not embarrassed at all. I don't need to make a TikTok video. How am I supposed to buy the $20 million house on the beach? I'm a YouTuber. I don't make that much money. What am I supposed to do? Well, better go live someplace else. No homeless in Florida. They get picked up immediately. Is renting a home a bad idea or try to buy? Depends on your individual situation. Nobody can tell you like that, hey, listen, it's bad to do this or good. Depends on your situation. Are you single? Are you alone? How old are you? Do you expect on being in that house for a certain period of time? There's all kinds of variables. Let's see. I didn't even want to pull up Newscomb. Yeah, he's on TV right now lying his ass off. All right, so let me go ahead and do the super chats, and I hope you guys didn't get pissed, but you know, that's somebody goes, I worked 5 jobs for 6 years, had 3 children. You can do what you choose to do. Whew. Wow, man, hats off, wow, very wow. man, there's some people with some stories. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let me do super chats, and then I've got to record that interview at this afternoon, and then we'll do the night show. All right. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people clipping what Newsom has to say, and I'd love to hear how he's going to end the Trump presidency. That's what he promised. So that would be very interesting. What an idiot. All right. So let me pull this over. Okay. We're ready. All right, and then I got to fix my computer again. Cutting edge. I only know that now even a Subway sandwich is a weapon. Nicholas, Barry just went to Governor Westmore's Facebook page where people are welcoming the National Guard here. We want it. Blacks especially are calling for this. Yes, yes. The Woody, America, the UK is in danger. Can we borrow Trump? Man, you guys are in big trouble over there. Yeah, I see some of the stuff. Starfleet, today's my 50th birthday. I want a starship for my birthday. Live long and prosper. I was going to hit the clap button, but my board's not working, so I can't even give you a heads up with the applause. Wait a minute. I think I can do it manually by going to the input here. Let me just find it. Where's the applause button? Yeah, here we go. Hey, I can do it this way. All right, so applause. Dave Rutan. In Edmonton, Alberta, the shelters are full to capacity and still a few thousand people on the street. Edmonton's answer is to bust into small communities with no resources to help. They don't care. The Woody, thank you. The Woody again. SOS UK needs Trump. Barry will do. Glenda Cruz, we do have a church that is helping homeless. Yep, there's a couple here as well. Dave Rattan again. When the government says it's in your best interest, be afraid. Very afraid. Exactly. Susan, I think this might be a error. You might want to check with your credit card, but thank you very much. 2 of them came in, and they're exactly the same, so I think you hit the button twice. Your show last night on Rumble was very informative and made a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you. But go ahead and check that on your credit card before they hit you up twice. Vincent, Barry, I've got to get you off subject, but I need to hear some hope for our Dolphins. Sorry. That's why I stopped doing them. I knew enough about football to recognize that Tua and McDaniel aren't not going to happen. So I had to bail. Daylight, Hillbilly movie is one of a kind because it's real. Bonnie Vance, a tough and loving grandma towards JD. Glenn Close did an excellent performance. Yes, I completely agree. R2 squared, almost 10,000 people live, only 2,600 likes. Sometimes what happens is there's a delay and YouTube just doesn't count them all while we're live. Excuse me. Heather Rodriguez, if you have time, Barry, please watch what Glenn Beck posted last night. It's about the deep state, but there was something he has said about the deep state that you had brought up last night. See, Heather, what you did there, you just gave away what I was going to be talking about tonight. So Heather just said at 7 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be talking about some of what Glenn Beck said in his video. Heather, again, thank you. Glenn Beck brings up the protesters. He breaks down the deep state. You're on to something when you talked about how the protesters have someone to bail themselves out. Yeah, there's money behind it. We're about to find out who that's going to be. Gene Lee, thanks for everything you do. Love your shows. Wish you check out Democrat Kala D. Cunningham of North Carolina. She sided with Republicans. Wow. Wow. Ashley, there's a name for you. Kala D. Cunningham. No relation. Mega King, thank you. Deanne Hobbs. Barry, what's your opinion on Newsom saying he will gerrymander Trump out of office? I'm sure that's what he will be saying. Do you think he can do that? He can do whatever they want in California. They're going to try and do it and get rid of the Republicans. I'm sure he'll try. But he doesn't have enough to offset what the other red states could do. If the other red states reach down and grab a pair, he can't stop it. Charita Rivera, thank you, Barry, and your media group. Always looking forward to hear it. Thank you. Justin the Knucklehead, Tip Jar, thanks for the show. I can't watch California Governor, the Serpent Lucifer, the Beguiler with his crazy snake charm head. Nope, I didn't put him on. Virginia Lem, oh my God, just check Perplexity. Kensington, PA is nothing but squalor. Photos just popped up. Awful. I'm telling you guys, want to put Kensington in and put in not just the pictures, get the videos. People who are walking down the street or driving and they're taking pictures of it. It is a horror movie. Thomas Schuster from last night's Super Chat Trouble. DC was designed and built by Masons. Tunnels are given. Descendants of the Knight Templars have to move stuff. What are they moving now? Jennifer Seidel. Kensington drug market began in the 70s. Think about that. So for 50 years? Wow. That's crazy. Jay Smith, hello. When are we going to see the buying property workshop? I'm interested and have questions. I have held off on it because there's some people who got mad, and so what I'm thinking about doing is doing it off YouTube and just doing it on Zoom. So it's probably very soon. Vielka, they mad. Where'd that go? Hold on, where'd that go? Let me go back up to the, okay. They mad because black mayors are getting embarrassed and exposed. Exactly. And Knucklehead, when I bought my house in Texas, I had to pay points to get down to 6.5. My VA had been 2.5, but I needed to move. You want it badly? That's how you get it. Yeah, everyone telling people they can't do it. No, it's too much. It's too much. All right, so I will see you guys tonight. I got to get off of here, go eat, go check on the wife, and then, of course, talk to that interview I have scheduled. See you guys tonight. I'll put up the information as soon as I have a time. All right, and we'll see you guys. Wow, 3 hours. Wow, Trump. Talk to you guys later.
you.